It's booze, bolted from gravity, following Wendy eventually. Years roll by and the headlines stay while the world keeps turning anyway. Family shadows, prison walls, time keeps marching through it all. You can hold on tight to memory, but you can't outrun gravity.
So it may take a couple seconds for this mic to unmute itself when I play that intro. I don't know why it does that, but welcome, Professor Joe.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. Welcome to my playhouse. You can see my box of stuff on that. I forgot to take the box of books down. That's my real estate office. So.
I know. Yeah, that's where you stream from usually.
It is. It's where I stream from all the time, unless
Well, sometimes in your car.
I know. I do like filming in my car. I really do. I always feel that's my favorite place to be is in my vehicle. I feel most like, what's the word? Comforted. Like no one can hurt me in that car. I don't know why I've always felt like that, but I've always felt like, because if I were just going to go live or show like my face without makeup, being in the car just makes me comfortable. I don't know why.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's where I spend my time, being super quiet and silent.
I've never considered a car in any. The only time I've ever thought about a car at all is I had an SUV, big one, for a couple of months, and it gave me such a sense of power that I thought it was dangerous to keep it.
Well, my car, unfortunately, the only vehicle I have right now, because my husband cannot drive anymore, is it's a very eclectic. It's a 1993 Land Cruiser. It's right side driving. So when I do go out on the road, people, you always have to be in a good mood because people will always stop you because it's so unique.
Yeah.
So it keeps me in a very happy mood.
Oh, well.
At least front face. So, yes, I started a little early, Debbie Martin. I'm not going to get through the romper room hellos like I normally do because Professor Joe has family visiting. So we really only have an hour. Really,
probably a little more than that,
longer, but she has family visiting, so that's exciting. Very exciting. Where will you take them? Like, what will you do?
Well, we went splatter painting this morning.
Oh, they're already here. Okay.
Yeah, they are. That's
splatter
why
painting,
because I'm leaving them. And tomorrow we're going to do a brunch cruise around Manhattan.
Ooh.
And maybe walk around in Manhattan. It'll depend on the weather, and it'll depend on other things that are going on in the city. And then Sunday, we're going to see a show at a local professional theater here in New Jersey. Very, very good Shakespeare theater. We're going to see The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Nice.
And hopefully my niece is going to figure out how why my doorbell changed its sound and how to get it back to where it should be. And there are a couple of other errands I'm hoping she'll be able to figure out.
So typically, if you're tuning into both of us, I usually welcome all of the people in the chat. I call them Patty Cakes and Patty Melts when you're a member, but I don't. ChatGPT made it up, but it's adorable, and so I'm not going to do that now. But today. 12 years ago today was the date that Luis Rivera and Sigfredo came up the second time and stalked Dan Markel. And tomorrow is the anniversary of the shooting. And then, of course, the 19th is the day he passed away.
Yeah.
The family, according to the Tallahassee Democrat, the Markels gave an interview for the 12th anniversary and stated that they were doing their Jewish remembrance based on the Jewish calendar on the 6th. But for us locally, I announced it on the radio show I had earlier, it's the anniversary. It is 12 years. And a lot of hoopla has come out about the possibility, and I think it's a minute possibility, that Katie Magbanua, which is how I try to be funny when I say the name, because I don't like her. I don't think she deserves the respect, that she would have her sentence vacated and possibly reduced or resentenced, that kind of thing. I personally, I live here in Tallahassee where the shooting occurred. I just know when that came out, based on it really, I saw it on Judy AA Legal Focus's show, and then Carl came out, which was a public show where Judy's was members only, was a public show, and talked about the CLE class, which is the legal education class, and it really created some backlash here. So Carl, I felt like the whole thing was trial balloon for the local prosecutor, and then they hooked on it, put it in the Democrat in the local channels, and it did not go well for the prosecuting office. So I think they better have some goodies in their background to be able to get through to the Supreme Court, because you can't just vacate. There has to be, like I think you said, Professor Joe, that's my question to you. Doesn't the defense attorney, Kawas and Lacoste, have to fall on their sword and say they have ineffective counseled their client, their past client?
Yeah, I don't know how they'll do it in, because it's very unusual after a conviction for this to happen. So I'm not sure I can tell you for sure, particularly in Florida. I heard the presentation that Jason Newland and Georgia Kappelman did at the Tallahassee bar. And she said it would take, a resentencing and it would be complicated. She didn't go into detail about how they would get it done. I don't know. Somebody would have to make a motion, whether it has to be the defense or the prosecutor could make a motion to take a relook. She did cooperate significantly in the 2 prior trials. And so I think that's the hook that they would use. So I think I probably disagree with you that it's a slight chance. I just don't think it's going to happen soon, because I think they're still looking at Wendy, and I don't think they're going to let anybody, released from anything until they're sure what they're doing about Wendy.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, and I think even if they did anything for Katie, I would expect it to be conditional on her continuing to cooperate with them on any further prosecutions, with some sort of a hammer that if you don't, it would be like a parole, you can be revoked and have to finish out the sentence. That's what I think they would do, but it doesn't look like it's going to be, in the next month, 2 months.
Well, even still, she has other sentences. Like, she's had other convictions. It's life without parole, but it's also, I believe, 60 years. So it's not just one, it's all of it.
Right.
And that's where I think the odds are even less. Doesn't mean they can't, doesn't mean they wouldn't.
Yeah.
But the backlash was severe.
Yeah, I heard that. Somebody sent me, who sent me the transcript? I can't remember now. Somebody sent me the transcript of the Tallahassee, that report from, what is it, the Tallahassee Democrat?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the way that was reported initially, if I'm not wrong, it didn't sound as though Georgia Kappelman or Jack Campbell were going to get anything out of it except releasing Katie from further obligation. That's how it sounded initially, and giving her a deal. So I don't know. I guess I don't, if that's the way it was portrayed, it's at least possible that if it was coupled with, we're prosecuting Wendy and she's going to testify again, and that's when we'll do something, maybe there would be a different reaction to it.
I watched you with Judy, AA Legal Focus, the other day, and you were doing a plus or minus kind of Ben Franklin, deciding whether this should be, do we have enough for conspiracy even? I think I agree with you. I personally don't believe they have enough for murder one, unless they're hiding something. I just don't think they have it. But the conspiracy, I've always felt, I feel like there's more to the story than what we know. Georgia is very good at stopping the question. She goes on a line of questioning and then she stops. Our layperson's sensibility says she stops. We'll go with OK Cupid. We have a download of your phone. And then she changes the entire topic. She's reminding Wendy, you're basically lying. We know you're lying, and we can't continue because you have
immunity.
Immunity.
Right. That may well be true, but if that's true, then it's more curious that they're still waiting. I thought the Bar Association, what she said there was pretty revealing. Now, she was talking about Donna, not Wendy. And after thinking about what Judy had said when we were on the air together the other day, I think Judy is right that she was focused on the murder and why they had not charged Donna with the murder until, the night that she was trying to flee, because she kept talking about, what did she do before or during? Well, that relates to the murder, not to the conspiracy necessarily. And she also talked about, there was something else she talked about that she thought was going to make it hard. The issue with conspiracy, and that's why it was helpful to me to listen to her, because I agreed with you that I thought there was enough evidence here to go forward. And, it was going to be tricky because you would have to draw all the inferences in the nuggets we have in favor of her complicity. But I had never actually sat down and looked at the elements of conspiracy and assessed them one by one. So
that was really interesting.
Yes. And the elements, intent, I think you can get there on the evidence, but the agreement piece requires more.
And how do you define agreement? What does agreement mean legally?
It doesn't have to be overt. I don't have to say to you, Patty, okay, let's do it. But you have to be able to conclude from what I do and what I say that there's been a tacit agreement. So it can be tacit. It doesn't have to be explicit. But there has to be something more than knowledge, because the law does not require you, because you know that a crime is being committed, there's no obligation in law that you go report it. So you can't take knowledge plus silence and get to agreement.
Except
take the knowledge, the issue of intent, and then something more that shows that she was part of it. Now, we've got a lot of stuff that makes, I think, most people very unhappy with her about some of her conduct, which was despicable, changing the kids' names, keeping the Markells away from the grandparents. That doesn't go to agreement.
I have a longer list for that agreement list.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, the more that we have, and when we talked Tuesday night, I guess it was Tuesday night, I said to Judy, there may be more out there that we can use, but that's what it has to be. Now, there are some things, the license plate number in Donna's day planner. There are other explanations for it. Donna was in Tallahassee. She might have seen Dan driving the car. She didn't have to get it from Wendy, but that's not necessarily an insurmountable hurdle, because on that motion for judgment of acquittal, which comes after the state's case, the judge is supposed to take all the evidence in the light most favorable to the state. The judge is not supposed to weigh alternative explanations that might lead to this person is not responsible. He's supposed to look at the things that show complicity. And so that license plate, no matter that there are other explanations, I think would go on the agreement side. The October 31 interplay, she, Charlie
cancels her contract on the house.
Yeah. Charlie asks Katie on the 31st, do you know someone who can hurt someone? And she says, yes. He texts, I think it's a text, a picture of him and Katie together. And meanwhile, in Tallahassee, what we have is, I'm thinking of her as Jill now instead of Wendy. She cancels the contract to buy the house. Those all happen on the same day. And I think you can put those together and say that shows it still doesn't look like agreement. It looks like she knows it's going to happen, but it's the joining all of it, it seems to me, helps towards showing agreement. There is the question to Jeff, are you going to be in town? What time are you leaving? If you want to think about her trying to set up or help set up some alternative person who might have done it, that would go to that. And why would she be doing that if she didn't agree? I mean, that can't just be knowledge. If you take that story and you draw those inferences, that looks like agreement. Let me see which other ones that we had there. The sort of the way the car that Sigfredo and Luis
Centra.
drove each time that sort of looks like Lacasa's car. And the first time when before they returned the one because they go, I guess they got a ticket, whatever happened, and they returned it. That one even looked more like Jeff's car. It's mild because Judy tells me, because she knows what a Sentra looks like, that it's not a close match, but it sort of looks that way. It would be better if Luis could have said, we were told what car to rent. That would be great. Great.
We don't know if they even asked that question, though.
That's right. Well, but I don't know that he would know because that went through Sigfredo. Sigfredo had the envelope that was in the diaper bag that Katie gave him. I don't think Luis ever said he saw what was in that envelope. So he was getting it. Whatever he learned, he was getting it from Sigfredo. And that means you've got a hearsay issue in there, too, because he can't speak to his personal knowledge. He's going to speak to what Sigfredo told him. And hearsay gives you another, it's another obstacle to getting the evidence in. And then, the odd comments that when she texted her brother Rob, who she was not in close contact with, and told him about her boyfriend Jeff, when apparently she'd never done that before, and also intimated that this was secret, that her parents didn't know when they'd met him. And Judy thought that would go again to trying to set up an alternative person who might have done the crime. All of that, when you look at the facts of the case that really went into this from the Florida Supreme Court, which is the Williams case, when Denise Williams conspired with Brian Winchester to kill her husband. If you match those facts that show agreement, those are stronger. Because in that case, Brian Winchester gets on the stand and said, we talked about it. We considered alternative ways to do it. She rejected some. We found one that she could go for because if he drowned, it could be God. It didn't have to be, them doing something. She backed out at one point. And then I said to her, are we doing it or not? And she said, okay. Now, there are lots of reasons that the jury could have not believed Brian Winchester. He got a deal. But if you take that in the light most favorable to the state, that's very strong evidence that she agreed. And so that's the case. Now, that court didn't say it has to be this high a bar to do it. But that case at least demonstrates on the case that the Florida Supreme Court spent the most time with in talking about all this, the level that they went to. And they talked about evidence there that they didn't think went to agreement also. They said alibi went to intent, not really to agreement. So it's very interesting. But anyway, that's what
my list includes the night before, where she's saying in her questioning that she went to the gallery, which I believe now is called Nomads. And we did some research on one of the shows, and I was like, I went back on to newspapers.com, found out who was having an art gallery right across.
Oh, you did that. I watched that
minutes was Nomads, and they were having some like Hope for the Purse or some nonsense. Then she goes to Lake Ella, where she says she talks to a girl named Malia, which we don't even believe exists, for hours and hours and hours. The one thing Wendy is, from people that I know that knew her at the law school, was very closed. She was not a person who would just meet a stranger like my husband and just talk to them for 4 hours. It was not her personality. So no one really believes that, but I believe she was nearby. Then you have,
stop on that one.
Go ahead.
First. Let's do that. Did she say that on the stand or
in her questioning with Craig Isom?
Okay, so
he wasn't in the room. He was not in the room. You had Sarah, the victim advocate,
and she was talking to her friend too.
Her friend Jane.
Okay, that's you're right that could go to the agreement side, but look at how many holes you have to fill in to get there, because you're saying, here's what I think happened, and here.
Well, we don't know where her phone was, so we have to assume.
I know. I'm not quarreling with you for assuming. I'm just saying when you put this on the stand and you're trying to get the evidence in and you're trying to draw the connections, Georgia has to do more than say she was there and here's all the things that could have happened. So
Right.
she
And
may
Chris
be able-
Corbett knows which he's retired and works with Jason Newland now. But Chris Corbett, the sergeant, would know where her phone was if it was there or if she had a burner. I mean, there's other ways to know where somebody was, even back in 2014. And
Right.
she places herself there.
Right.
The other thing she did, and this is Grish, and I guess back in the day, Fancy Fiction had a photo that she posted on her Facebook on the 17th with the boys. The boys are kind of in the shadows at Lake Ella. To me, the outline of this image looks like the owl, the shirt that she was wearing. We know she didn't shower often because she said so. She says so in her interview room. She's a slob. We knew that too, according to Jeffrey Lacoste. So if she's wearing that shirt, I think everything they do is in code. So if they can, which, they could do it through Facebook, they figured out where that photo was actually taken. It wasn't that night because she didn't have the boys that night, but she posted it that night. So posting it that night, if that is the owl shirt, which I'm not an FBI analyst, so I can't take apart the shirt, but it definitely looks like the white outline of the owl. And then you have our beloved Luis Rivera posting an image of an owl. And then the next day, yes, there's holes, but the interview room, she's wearing the owl shirt. So I'm like, that's why I said define agreement. Is it code? The TV is 5. The owl was very important to her.
The TV is 5 is Donna, not Wendy. And unless you find them as conspirators, I don't think the TV is 5 can get into evidence against Wendy.
Wendy.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, all I'm saying is an example of code.
No, that clearly they talked code all over the place.
Code is definitely the challenge. But if the owl is so important to her, Brandeis's mascot was an owl. I found when I did the analysis of the home on Trescott, when they were selling it, the images are still there on Zillow. You can see in the half bath, there's a mirror and it has an owl on it. Like, owls are very important to her. So that's where there was an owl when I was making fun of her condo that she was up for rent. There was an owl in the condo several places. So owls are very important. She's also a slob there. We knew that from the house. She took those photos. We know she watches these because she removed the photos where I made fun of her cleaning ability. But those things we have no idea to prove or disprove. It's just supposition.
Right. Let me ask you something because I don't know. Sigfredo and Luis, is there anything that says that they were at the gallery?
Not at the gallery. Here's True Crime Wifey with her brilliance. Around 12:28, 12:36 that morning, so that morning of the 18th, their phone pinged right outside Nomads, which is where there was a bar there, which my friends used to own, called Crew de Gras. And it was like a Louisiana vibe, kind of New Orleans vibe. And it was right there, right next to Nomads.
But she was there the night before. Is that right?
She places herself there the night before, but we don't know what time. She's saying, I talked to Malia hours and hours. We have no idea what time she went home.
That's true. But look at how many. I'm not quarreling with you as to whether
we're just
moved that way. But look at how many places you have to knit a connection to get there.
And that's why Chris Corbett's so important.
Yeah. But knitting the connection and getting the judge to say there's enough that you've knitted that it's admissible.
Can we answer some questions?
Oh, sure.
Okay, great, because we have about a half hour. Help me understand, if you're guilty of conspiracy resulting in a murder, doesn't that automatically make you guilty of murder?
Well, you would think that was true, but they're separate crimes. It becomes a separate crime because they're different elements. For conspiracy, there has to be intent to commit the crime, that is the murder, and an agreement to commit the crime. But for conspiracy, you don't technically have to have the murder. You have the agreement, you have the intent to do it, but you might be thwarted before you get it done. Murder requires somebody who's died and that there was an intent to kill him and that you're a culpable party. So they're different elements, and when you have different elements, you can charge them separately as different crimes. The difference would be if I were charging murder 1 and murder 2, and murder 1 was intent to kill, killing, premeditation, and murder 2 was intent to kill, killing, no premeditation. If you committed murder 1, you had to have also committed murder 2. It would be impossible not to. But for murder and conspiracy, it is possible to commit one without the other.
So I thought it was interesting when you talked to Judy about the furtherance of the conspiracy, which I remember Judge Everett, because I was able to sit in the courtroom, which was lovely. But he talked about the continuing of the conspiracy, because none of them came clean, was my layperson's interpretation of that.
Yeah.
That the conspiracy was continued until the convictions.
It depends on what. This is a little tough. It depends on what the judge actually rules are the parameters of the conspiracy, because you can have a conspiracy to do the act, the murder, and then a conspiracy to cover it up. It doesn't, for this purpose, it doesn't matter if it's a conspiracy not to get caught, because it would make it admissible if she's a conspirator. Okay. It would make her admissible in evidence against her. So we don't care as long as it gets in for the jury to hear.
So someone has a question, which I disagree with, and this is as a nurse. How can Wendy be protected if she was aware ahead of time and did not prevent the murder? Even clergy and medical people are required to report. We're required to report abuse of certain individuals, certain classes of individual. We are not, as a nurse, required to report a murder if we didn't see it while working as a nurse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and that's done by statute anyway. There's the statute that puts on the obligation on you to report. There's no statute that says a witness to or a person who has information about a crime that's going to be committed has an obligation to report. No statute like that I know of anywhere.
How can Wendy be protected if she was aware ahead of time and did not prevent the murder? It's the same. I think Professor Joe just answered your question.
Right. Silence doesn't make you a conspirator. You have to not, even silence plus intending, wanting it to happen doesn't make you a conspirator. To be a conspirator, you have to intend, and you also have to agree. Silence doesn't equal agreement. Now, I know everybody wants to get there. And what I'm happy about, Patty, is that we're now starting to look at the particular element that seems to be impeding, as if I understood Georgia Kappelman correctly, seems to be slowing them down from doing anything. It's not the knowledge. It's probably not the intent. It's not, gee, we think she's despicable. None of that's impeding them. It's, do they have enough to persuade the judge, when that motion is made, that there is enough to show there was agreement, and it's up to the jury to decide.
What about the text John says to Wendy saying everyone has protected you and now you're free? You've got a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I don't think that does it, but that's just me.
Well, you might get a stretch reading there to say you knew this was going on, but that doesn't necessarily suggest you did anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hated watching that show. You guys were dividing and conquering and doing the Ben Franklin. I was like, but I just think there's more to it, which of course there are, because Georgia stops her questioning whether they think it's enough. And frankly, God bless Jason Newland. I'm not disparaging the man at all. He didn't think, according to that conversation, the license plate was a big deal.
Yeah, I agree.
Audibly see jaw movement when they posted that photo in the courtroom.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't do much because Everett was such a very strict judge, but oh my God, you just couldn't even, you just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I thought that, that it didn't take you the whole way, but it was certainly evidence, a suspicious fact that warranted, that could give the inference that, she was helping. I mean, I think if you're looking at the things that would show agreement with regard to Wendy, I think what she did the text to Dan saying, "Are you going to be in town over the time of the murder?"
That's a problem for me.
And that one, I think, gets you further towards agreement because she already knew the schedule. Why would she ask that question? So, I mean, you can put, and Judy said this, you can put them all together, but when you're done, you've got to say, drawing all the inferences in the way we think they should be drawn, is there enough? Now, what I think, well, I'll let you do the question.
No, it was just
Oh,
Katie
that's
needs
right.
to stay there. It's a comment.
My best guess, having heard Georgia, and it's only a guess because obviously she isn't talking to me about any of this, is that there is something to the notion that she's waiting out Charlie a little. Because their problem is if they go forward with this and they lose that judgment of acquittal, double jeopardy means you can't go back and try again. You're done. So they want to do their best to get the sort of the best case that they can. And right now, what that appears to be is Charlie. His appeals are done, but now he has that, collateral attack saying Dan didn't represent me as well as he could because he knew he was going to be representing Donna, That'll take him a while to get that filed. And that'll be at the trial level. If he were to lose that at the trial level, I don't think he'll do anything until then. Then I think he's got a calculus. I can spend more years appealing. I can go in federal court and do it again. What do I think the likelihood is that I could win? And even if I win, all I'm going to get is another trial. What is the likelihood that a second jury will acquit me? And I've said this before. If he's acting and using his brain the way rational people use their brains, I think he would conclude, this is really a long, long shot. Let me see what the prosecutor would do for me if I came forward and told what I knew about Wendy.
He said he knew it was a long shot years ago when he was on the phone after his conviction and said, I have no shot, basically, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to spend the money anyway.
But now he knows there was no shot, and it's the second time around. He spent several years in prison already, and he's watching her out doing whatever she pleases. I mean, that's different from I may go to prison. This is now I've watched for years. Does she write me? Does she visit? Did she do anything at all except get on the stand and do things that made me look even more guilty? Do I still owe her anything? Why don't I go after her? If I'm going to spend time in prison, so should she.
Here's a common question. As an unindicted co-conspirator, can she visit him or talk to her mother?
Unindicted. She is not. She's been named as an unindicted co-conspirator. That doesn't make her one. I mean, I can say, she's a suspect in the case, and I'm law enforcement. I'm the prosecutor. That is not a finding by a judge.
Right.
So they might be able to bar her from doing it, but I think
it says no conspirators. So she's not doing it. She said, I'm not doing it.
But she's not a conspirator.
Very smart that way.
She's not a conspirator as far as the law looks at it.
It is. That's what
our conspirator in the eyes of the prosecutor. So maybe they can still bar her because the people they can keep away from an inmate are more than conspirators. I mean, they can do, your context before you came in are not, not the kind of people we want you to be associating with. So it's possible, but I don't see anything. And if somebody knows in the chat, I'd love to hear it. I don't see anything that's saying she's not visiting because she's been told she can't. What I see is she's not visiting because she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to risk looking more complicit.
Or be recorded.
That's right.
I mean, she's smarter than the rest of them. So Debbie's asking, I can answer this question. A lot of homes are tally numbered with a lot of numbers in between. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 2. I Googled DM's house, Dan Markel, and the next door neighbor is 8 numbers lower. I think that's maybe why law enforcement said crime tape 4 houses down. Law enforcement taped the tape to a telephone pole. So if you go back and look at the old photos, that's where I knew when I walked it where the crime scene tape was taped, because they used a telephone pole. They didn't want to use someone's mailbox or something like that. So they used a telephone pole. So it was only really like 2.5 down. If you're looking at Trescott, the house I'm looking to the right because she would have pulled down that way. It was about 2.5 houses down, maybe 3, depending on how you look at the homes. But she came down Trescott, made her quote K turn because she doesn't know how to drive, and then because it's really only like a 1.5 lane road width wise. And she had the Odyssey. I always felt that she went up the first street and made a right, which is Blythe, and then went up Randolph, made a right onto Benton. That's not what she says in the questioning. She says, I turned around, went the whole way back, which is a mile. So it's a mile from Dan's house to the corner of Trescott and Centerville Road, made a right, came down. And by then, there was traffic. I mean, it was everywhere. Traffic was all backed up because he didn't know what it was or why the guy was shot. So Benton was a mess. Thomasville was a mess. And then she said she went across, went to ABC, came back. This is the other thing she says in her questioning that made me rethink everything. It was someone else's, I think it was True Crime Wifey, talked about the receipts. So she's able to produce a mosaic receipt immediately to Craig Isom. Here it is. We're ready to go. And her ABC receipt. Here it is. And then he said, what about the gas? And she goes, oh, I said no receipt. And then I thought, oh, that little heifer didn't even get gas. I mean, there's really no way to know unless you know the car, right? Before and after. And I thought, oh, she didn't get gas. And then I thought, well, let's look where the gas stations are. This is what completely changed my brain about even more conspiracy. She goes around. Circle K is directly, a little, if you're looking at the house to the left, it's kind of catty corner and back. So the house is on the Thomasville Road side. She couldn't see the results of the murder from the house because they stopped her. She goes around, goes to ABC, pulls in, not to get gas. There's a road to block up called the Post Road. It's Post Road. Behind there, thank you, True Crime Wifey, it's called the Trail to Trail Park. It was open at the time, and you could run back and forth between the apartment complex, which is directly behind the Trescott house, and the Trescott house. She could have walked up and said, yep, it's a done deal. Ambulances, this is what it is. Then there's a call to Katie. We don't know who made that call, Professor Joe, right? Sigfredo turns his phone back on, calls and says it's a done deal. She says, I know. Luis Rivera hears it. Who called Katie?
But I thought the timing on that was that the call to Katie preceded the timing that we know about where Wendy was. Now, they can go back and double check that. Right. They can. But even if it's so, let me push back on it. I mean, I don't like looking at this evidence this way either. It goes to show she knew what was going on and she wanted to confirm for herself that it was going on. You can certainly make the argument, if the timing works out, that she was part of the agreement because she now is confirming with the family and others that it's happened. But if you can't get the timing right, all it shows is knowledge.
Oh, I'm agreeing. And there's no way for us to know. It is only supposition. But when I realized that she didn't have the gas receipt, but she's like, this purse, her car was a disaster. Okay. But that purse was organized. She pulled that receipt out. Here you go. I was like, what? How on earth? If you saw the images of her car, you saw the condo. I'm like, where is this? Here's my receipt to CVS. Like, it's a mess. She was boom, boom, boom. And I'm,
and you can connect that with having the TV repair person from Best Buy there that morning. If you're looking to sort of connect and say she wanted to be sure that she could establish where she was and therefore she wasn't a part of it, those all connect up pretty well.
Well, okay, Debbie's asking again, didn't Isom say right after? I think it's like you say, I'm right around the corner, right? Right after doesn't mean the next home after. And so I mean, we could quibble about it, but I do know where that tape was taped, and it was to a telephone pole.
And you did a walking, you parked your car and walked that. That evidence is going to be pretty solid because, as you say, it was connected to the telephone pole. they can do that afterwards now and say, here's where the telephone pole is, here's where the house is. That's not going to be subject to let's argue about it.
It
They'll
doesn't
be able to
change it,
show
yeah.
it. And they have a picture where the police car was, and they have the officer who was in the cruiser who can testify. So that part, I think they can do a really good job with.
And Charlie's own call, she couldn't help herself.
Yeah.
She couldn't help herself. I mean, I do believe that if you can get him, the break is his mother. I mean, where you watch Rob, which I had not watched it till this past week. I saw him testify. It was heartbreaking. And then I decided, well, let's air it. It's hard to watch knowing what we know about Georgia and Jason Newland, how he was treated by this family and then collapsed afterwards. It's hard. But he says in the house that, how did you find out? Mom called me. I don't know if he called mother, but she said she called me and knock on the door. Are you Dan Markel? And there's a shooting. I did a show a couple days ago. Wendy says in the house, thank you, guilty words. She says, and I was like, in the house? She said in the house. She's talking to Donna. You don't even hear Donna on the other end. But Donna must have asked, where was he shot? And she goes, in the house. He wasn't shot in the house. Craig Isom didn't say in the house. In the house.
Again, pushing back.
It's all
shows
pushing,
she
yeah.
knew. It doesn't necessarily show agreement. I mean,
No. But if there was that plan, which Charlie would again have to determine, and then, okay, so going back to the brother, that disconnect looked a lot easier for him than it would for Charlie. I believe Wendy hypes mom hypes Charlie. Charlie's attachment to mom is greater than the other two's. Charlie was very attached to his mother, where Wendy is like, when was the last time you talked to your mother? A couple years.
Yeah. And I will add to, thinking about this, that now how they prove it to any extent that would move the needle. It is possible that the arrangement was that she would go and confirm the killing and let them know, but the timing was off because somehow Katie learned from someone else. And the fact that she learned earlier from someone else doesn't entirely erase what she might have been trying to do. And if that were the case, then that certainly would go to agreement.
So the chat is saying Malia is Cuban. In Malia, there's a hotel, I guess, in Havana, Spain called Malia. Which I guess, again, we can.
Well, if there is a Malia
with this family, many things.
If there is a Malia, they can still look for her. That's something that law enforcement could be investigating. And she might come forward if she's in the area and has heard that she's the person. That's not inconceivable that wouldn't happen. And I don't know how law enforcement would go about finding who she was at the time, but they may have ways to try to track it down.
Well, she was a friend of a friend, so that's how you track it.
Yeah,
because she said she was a friend of a friend. That's if they want to. The other question I have, and people keep texting me, and which I have a source in Miami that knows and still knows Wendy quite well. The registration for the kids' school. She was able to get down there. The murder happens the 18th. The memorial's quickly behind. They haul ass out of this school and out of the town and get her down there. Kids are in school like right away.
Yeah.
Well, there was deadlines for these things. And
Right.
that school, the reason why the continuum was so important wasn't just because of the networking that Wendy could do, although it was which I'm trying to control my filter to that, which is also because I have a professor on. I'm drooling on myself, but also because
yourself.
Because I think she's a whore, so I'll just say it out loud. But and the networking was very important to her and her mother, was because of the proximity to the school. The continuum was in the school zone, and if the state has asked, which people have emailed her, have you talked to the school? where the boys were being put through and registered. I don't know how that's been answered. I don't recall the response, but that is an important agreement to me. If I am creating a situation where I can haul butt and it has to be by a certain day, not only just because Dan was leaving for New York, but because Monday was the date that Stephen Webster, bless his heart, was going to have to file against her and then hopefully subsequently remove her bar license. Those are issues that is hard to overcome. But then you have the school, the elementary school, and the dates of the school and the enrollment of the school. Yes, it's elite, but it's a conversation like, did the state even consider that? I don't know, because I'm the one who found the continuum.
Yeah. And still, I think it certainly shows knowledge. It would show if she had registered them. And I had heard someone, I think on Judy's program, say who had from that area that you've got to get registrations done. Some of the schools are highly sought after.
They are.
By families, and last minute things don't usually work.
And you can't do school choice at this area. They have whatever regulations. You cannot do school choice there.
Yeah. So, it certainly shows knowledge. But again, we're back to, can you make the leap towards agreement? And I don't know, when you think about it, in 2014, when they started to look at this, they were trying to track down who actually did the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them took them quite a while to find them and to, get the root and get all the forensics so that they could go after them. Would not surprise me, because you've got limited resources and you can't think of everything at once, and you're doing it here. We're looking at it from 2 years later or 6 years later or 12 years later, saying, so why didn't you do this? It's obvious to us with all that's happened in between. I don't know how much law enforcement on the front end would have been thinking about, okay, maybe she's involved too. I mean, they're looking at Charlie, then they look at Donna, and therefore start trying to figure out things or look for things that would show her complicity. And I don't know whether schools keep those records that long. I wouldn't be surprised that now, all these years later, they couldn't tell you.
No, and unless somebody was there and remembered Donna coming in and registering and changing the boys' names because it was Markel legally, how they did it to Adelson without anything, I don't know. But socially, even still, because remember, one of the boys went to the class and was crying. And Donna says on the phone, well, he's just going to have to get over it. Yeah. I mean, she had no compassion for this child and his name being changed.
Yeah. She had said she had been with the boys a lot, and, they weren't upset about it, which seems to me to be an extraordinary thing for someone to say about two small children who had a really close relationship with their father, and now he's gone. And you can say, there's nothing that shows it's bothering them. That's an extraordinary comment.
Charlie's in a far worse prison in the Dakota than he would be here in Florida. Far worse. It's a much older prison. The state's older, it's just older place, and it has a lot of riots. So Mia says, I've always believed Charlie gets another bite at the apple, a different trial or some opportunity. Then he will do whatever it takes to get out of there before he dies, including tell-all. I think he has no love lost for Wendy. You could tell even in the courtroom. However, it's his mother that is the tie.
Yeah, but he hasn't been in contact with her for years either. What he's been doing for years is sitting in a miserable prison, never even getting a hamburger. The way he scoffed down the hamburger or cheeseburger, whatever it was, when he was testifying. What do you do with your day? I think I would sit and the circumstances would fester, and I would get angrier and angrier about how I was thrown into this situation. And I don't know that.
But we're reasonable people. And I told you, I watched that video of him clawing at a Wendy's nugget and thinking he is basically gone mentally. He is really gone. And I don't know. I've always said, I worked in the jail here where they kept this group, And I thought if I was ever arrested and had to be incarcerated, I was arrested, but if I had to be incarcerated, I'd slap the first person I saw so you put me in solitary. Like I would, and give me a book. I don't know what kind of conditions he's in, but it's not good.
Yeah. I will take Georgia at her word. And at that bar association, she said they're still looking at the day planner. They're still trying to find things there.
I wish they'd
That
give
they're
it to us.
still trying. I don't think there's any love lost between Georgia and Wendy. I think if she thought she could get a shot at putting her away, she would take it. And I do believe, and I feel strongly about this, a prosecutor's got an ethical obligation not to bring a case that he or she has a real doubt about whether that person did the crime. I don't think Georgia has a real doubt about whether Wendy was complicit. And you also have to believe that there is a reasonable chance to prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I do think that that's true here. And what I believe is there's a point, and that's why I think it might be Charlie, that you have to say, okay, now it's the Fisher cut bait. We can't say we're ever going to be finding anything significant now. If I think she was complicit, and it's my belief, and I think there's a way to do it, then I think a prosecutor has the obligation to go forward when it's a crime this serious and not just let it go.
Some of the other things I've heard, some of the other things I've heard about this not going forward is budgetary. They already got so many. We have other big cases here, which we do. We have the Phoenix Eichner case, which is coming up in October, which an acquaintance of mine is the judge for that, and I will not miss it. And then the other one is the Daniel Spencer. They had a motion hearing yesterday, which unfortunately I did have to miss, and that was where a girl was abused to death, and a judge let the Daniel Spencer out pending his sentencing as a pedophile. So that was a nice one. So those two big death penalty cases are coming up. So those are just what I hear around the people I know around the courthouse.
Yeah.
Maybe this is
those, one of them you said is going now. Is that right? One of them is going now.
No, they're both in the motion. The court date for Daniel Spencer has not been set. The court date for Phoenix Eichner and Jack Campbell, our illustrious state attorney, is the one guiding the Phoenix Eichner. It is not Georgia Kappelman. It is him.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if those are in motion to be tried now, they should be on their way or completed in, let's say, 18 months or 2 years. And if Charlie wants to wait to see if he can win on that post-conviction relief motion before he then really has a kind of come to Jesus moment with himself and decide, then those cases will be out of the way at the time they're thinking about going forward.
It's just the rumor mill.
And I also think that if Charlie were to get on the phone tomorrow and say, I want to talk to Prosecutor Kappelman because I have stuff to tell her about Wendy, they'd drop everything and take it. And it wouldn't matter that there were other cases out there that were also important that were going to cost money.
I think she would too. I think she'd fly. You'd see a flight to North or South Dakota really quick in a visitor list. That's the other thing about him being in South Dakota. They don't have the sunshine laws that we have. So even though he's a Florida convict, we can't get the list of people that are contacting him. Yeah.
Right.
It's very clever on their part, but a lot of it was because of the quote Latin king unquote. But I know Latin kings in the South Dakota prison he's in, so you can't keep that side of it, but they do keep him extremely separate from that family, which I find fascinating as just a lay person. Yeah. So anybody else have any questions? Who does? Oh, well, this is the other thing. We've never really heard from the Best Buy guy. He's still alive. I know his name, the Geek Squad. Does anyone know when the TV was bought? The warranty does not cover it being bashed in.
Yeah.
Doesn't cover it. But we have not heard from him. And I think they've kept that out for a reason. I think there's
The
another
only,
thing they've kept out.
excuse me. The only thing we know about it is Wendy said it was a gift after the divorce.
Yeah. From her
So
brother, but it was in her mother's name, or it was in her father's name. Also doesn't make any sense, but
well, she's someone they don't think could drive to Miami on her own without having them drive up to get her and bring her back. Maybe they don't think they could trust her to own a TV in her own name either.
apparently she couldn't because someone batched it in. And then Guilty Words, I'd not seen this woman's channel, but she does a thing where she tests the TV from 2014 and
I
had to
saw
take a
that.
hammer to it. She had to take a hammer to it. It was amazing. So
Uh-huh.
yes, they said Rob was the most compelling testimony I have ever seen. And I think they still could have got a conviction with Donna without him, but it certainly helped. It definitely helped. And I think he could help because he was not close to his sister, Wendy. And Charlie, she implies that he was close during the trial. As he took care of me, blah, blah, blah. But no, they did not have a lot of conversations. There was not a lot of phone data between Charlie and Wendy up until the time of this 1031. That's when the conversation started because he was busy, abusing young girls in Asian countries. That's just a fact. So they didn't have a lot of conversation. She wasn't close to Rob, except for the fact that, hey, don't tell mom and dad about my new boyfriend, even though they'd met him. So
Yeah.
I think he was very important and very compelling. And I think if it was a Wendy trial, he would come back and you would hear more.
It's very possible.
Be interesting. Wendy got the right of her ex as well as a controlling family. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. So, okay, how many opportunities does, and you may not know because it's Florida, does someone get to appeal here in Florida? Do you know?
Yeah, well, I do know generally. Charlie has an appeal left to the Florida Supreme Court on the four corners of the appeal from the trial. That's a discretionary docket, which means the Florida Supreme Court doesn't have to take it. Very unlikely that the Supreme Court would take it because this was a unanimous opinion at the panel. He also has the theoretical possibility of asking for what's called an en banc hearing by all the judges on the appellate bench. You already have 3 on the appellate bench who have weighed in. The chances there are extraordinarily unlikely, but he has the opportunity to do both of those. So I think if he does it, he's not going anywhere. Then he goes in. Now he's on post-conviction relief. And now he's going to raise what he couldn't raise on direct appeal. That is the conflict of interest related to Daniel Rashbaum's representation of him and then going on expecting to represent Donna. That's the argument that happened that delayed the trial for 10, 11 months. Okay, that's the claim he hasn't been able to raise yet. That's the one he'll go into a Florida trial court on post-conviction relief. He will raise the claim. The trial judge has the opportunity, and I'm sure there'll be a motion from the defense to have a hearing about it. And if there's a hearing about it, I'm assuming Charlie will testify. Daniel Rashbaum will most likely have to testify. There will be a decision coming from that trial judge that either says, yeah, there was a conflict and it wasn't one that could be waived, and therefore you win. The state would have the right to appeal that. If Charlie loses, he has the right to appeal it. So we're now back going up the chain or the ladder to the Florida Supreme Court. Florida Supreme Court again doesn't have to take it. If he loses, and he hasn't had this little moment with himself saying maybe there's a better route, then he can go into federal court on habeas corpus and start again and say there was a conflict of interest that meant under the 6th Amendment, I had ineffective assistance of counsel. It is possible that the federal court could actually do a hearing also about it. You then appeal to the Court of Appeals in the federal system, and ultimately you can ask the Supreme Court to take a look. The Supreme Court would never take a look. I mean, that was completely. So you can see how long this could take to go all through all these stages, which is why I said a while ago that you would think that he might wait to try it once at the trial level
I
Just
think
seeing-
Roseanne wins the comment of the whole thing, which I didn't think about. Donna's 71 going on 72 years old. When something happened to Donna, Charlie might sing like a bird. So
Yeah.
if she's not with us anymore and he doesn't have to inherently feel that mommy shame for turning on his sister. I didn't think about that. But yeah, she's not going to live forever.
Yeah.
She's lived longer than I thought. She
Yeah,
has
you know,
lived longer
everybody
than I
said
thought.
that about her, and I didn't say anything at the time because I thought everybody else is a good read on people, but I thought she's a survivor. You know, I could imagine her going in and adjusting to that life and trying to take control of it and being sort of the mama bear and, you know, counseling everybody. And she's going to have goodies to give out so she can be the queen bee in
A
that
little witness
environment.
tampering went a long
Yeah,
way.
that's right. That's right.
I mean,
Well-
she's getting away with it.
Yeah. Well, there was a
I mean,
fair
so-
amount about it. That's one of the other things that was interesting about that Tally Bar Association meeting, when I think it was Newland who said, once the defense said they had found witnesses to say that Drina and the other jailhouse, the jail inmate were lying, they did more investigation and they found other inmates that Donna had accosted, asking them the same thing. I can give you a script. Will you learn it? And I thought, well, this is really good. It's like, you know, they should put it on the, you know, the intercom and say, you know, anybody willing to perjure themselves on the stand, look at the goodies we can give you. You can get a piano. You can get drugs. Just come to my, you know, my bed and maybe we can work out a
I
deal.
know that poor doctor. That poor doctor got named as like, just go get the drugs from him. And I'm like,
but
where is he?
imagine the brain that would say, this is a good idea. You know, one would be a terrible idea. But if she talked to as many people as Newland intimated, what brain would say, you can talk to all these people who are looking for a way out, and you can try to talk them into perjuring themselves, and they're going to remember your script. They're not going to get hung up if they testified, and nobody's going to go tell law enforcement. I mean, I don't think a 10-year-old would have done it.
Says, what prevents Charlie from writing Harvey? Nothing. Harvey's visited him in South Dakota. Harvey can write Donna. I mean, all Harvey has to say is your mother's very proud of you.
Yeah, well,
it's all he has to say, you know. It's very simple. And there's belief, which I believe, because I saw Harvey drive up here. It was a mess, was that he's rented a place near Homestead so he can go, you know, every weekend. And she's never been without being allowed to have a visitor ever. So, because I check. So I'm sure Harvey goes and visits her and pats her on the back or whatever the hell they do. It gags me, but what big piece of evidence do you think they have against her that we don't know? It would have to be the phones. It's phones. Phone. If they have her burner phone, which she could have threw away when she went to get gas, there's a burner phone that is mentioned in the evidence that we don't know what happened, who was on, who owned it, who had it, but there is a burner phone in evidence. We don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and the person I wonder about is Sigfredo. But if they had information from Sigfredo, you would think they would have used it in Donna's trial and Charlie's trial. So, I mean, it's theoretically possible, although I don't think very likely, that he may have, you know, made contact and said, I'm willing to talk. Because, and I would have thought actually that he might have done something years ago, because Katie, who supposedly was the love of his life, notwithstanding that, you know, he's cheating on her right and left, and the mother of his kids, that he would have said, you know, I might as well do this. She can get out. My children will have at least one parent with them. So I'm just really surprised that he hasn't done anything to help. But he's still sitting there. He's a chess piece that hasn't been played.
Well, that's because we're not murderous thugs. We can't think like he does.
Well, I'm glad that we can't think. If that's the case, I'm glad we don't think the way he does.
Well, I think he did tell the love of his life and his baby mama to spill everything, and she didn't. I don't think she's told everything yet. I think she has. I mean, you hear it in Pat Sanford's voice in the second proffer that she's halting the truth, and they know it, and they get very frustrated. And I believe Pat Sanford's the one to walk out. But
why would she hold anything back that might implicate Wendy? I can imagine her doing it for Sigfredo. I can't even imagine her doing it for Charlie, but why Wendy?
because I believe, in my opinion, when you take out the ums and the ahs and the you knows, which is really hard to do in that transcript, I've done it, is it implicates her deeper into this web. I believe she had more of a relationship with Wendy, albeit criminal, but not like funny, funny. That's the other thing. And I've said it before. Wendy isn't the person to just go up and meet someone and talk to them for 4.5 hours about her personal life. She isn't. But she's also the girl not to canoodle on the beach with two strangers shoulder to shoulder. And there she is, shoulder to shoulder. And I'm thinking that doesn't seem right for that type personality type. But I think they had a much more like, she knew who the person was going to be. She knew who the chain and the link was. And she reached out to them via burner, via WhatsApp, via whatever, and used it. And I think it's really hard for Katie. She still doesn't like admitting she did this. She has a very large struggle in her brain to her mouth coming out and saying, I did it. And this is what I did. None like Lewis, who just says it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
very
I know
interesting.
people who knew Wendy at Brandeis,
Oh, damn.
and they describe her. Now I know this secondhand, but they describe her as, wanting to be with the, if it's university president, she wanted to sidle her way into getting him to know her because she was always looking to move up. And
This is true.
spending time with Charlie's girlfriend and Charlie's girlfriend's friend, they don't seem to be two people that she would normally reach out to sort of establish a relationship with.
Unless there's a mission.
That's right. Right.
And I do know that Sandy, I always mess his name up. Sandy, it's a gentleman, D'Alemberte, she was very close with. Or tried to get close to. I don't know. I still think FSU law would have fired her the minute Dan said fire her. But from what I'm told, they were very close. She was with him a lot, and he was the head of the law school. So when you said that, I was like, she knew what side of bread to butter, and to make people feel good about themselves to help ruin her. I mean, she did it to Jeffrey Lacoste. Jeffrey Lacoste, status-wise, was nowhere near her. Financially,
and he was nowhere near Dan either.
No, nowhere near her. This is all about, and I have another question for you. Using the people she needed to and being able to pick them out. Professor Joe, all of her friends, when I'm watching this interrogation again, questioning for like 25 times, all of her friends are social workers.
I heard you say that, yeah.
They're not buying the Louis Vuitton. Granted, she isn't either. She didn't spend a lot of money. She was very frugal. She drove an old Odyssey. He drove an old Accord. They were about getting where they needed to go and who they needed to know. Who is my who is in sales. That's what I like to say. Mm-hmm. Who's my who? But I'm like, all of her friends, and she's talking about her social workers. They're not attorneys. Every single one of them. Jane, Tova, Kara, Lynn, Alan was an attorney, Lynn's husband, but everyone else is a social worker. There's a reason why she created that web. Psychologically, I'm just not a shrink, so I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, but it was fascinating to watch it. And watch her, like that Jane just rub on her arm and soothe her like mommy soothe. What? Why are you doing that?
Now let's be fair. That was the day that the father of her children was murdered. And she had just heard the news of what Jane would think. And Jane had
that they badmouthed
clue
the father.
that Wendy had any involvement at all. Mm-hmm. So you can see that. I can see that happening.
Well, Jane said, well, you should be a suspect. She said it to her. But I think Jane was set up, and I do mean that, to not like Dan. And so that was part of the soothing situation. But she was like all like soothing her. And I'm like, and I just think they were all set up to soothe her. Ryan, I believe, was a social worker. I believe all of them were social workers, which does that in your mind, or does that give the narcissist that feeling of superiority?
I don't, you said neither of us are murderers, so we don't know how,
You
how
don't
I
know
don't
how
know
that
how
works.
narcissists
I don't know if they
operate
teach
either.
that in law school.
But
If
I
they
would
teach
say
mentality.
along that line, if you were trying to create a number of people who would say Dan was a terrible husband, and show that about her, you wouldn't go to lawyers. You might go to social workers to accept that explanation. I mean, that's the conventional wisdom of who the prosecutor puts on juries. The prosecutor would put, you don't get lawyers much, but an engineer on the jury, somebody who's a critical thinker, but the social worker, the librarian at the school, the people who are more people and are more empathetic, the prosecutor generally doesn't want.
Mia says there are various accountings as to the manner in which the TV was presented. It is. So I remember Jeffrey Lacoste talking about lines. There were lines through it that you could kind of see an image. Remember, they had to watch the broken TV, which slays me. And then there was another example where it was spidered, but in the end, it was broke and she made him watch it. It's just so odd.
Very odd.
Accessory after the fact. I think you shared with Judy on AA Legal Focus that we're past that date.
I think so. I think the statute of limitations is long gone.
So sad on that. Would they have been able to do anything? And they would have had to get Donna or Charlie, right? Before that could happen?
Yeah, well, accessory after the fact gets you the same problem. What did she do to help them afterwards? And what did she do? I mean, she implicates Charlie with what? Within a half hour of the interview with Isom. She distanced herself from her mother. So I don't know where you would find the things that would show she helped after the crime was done. In fact, I think that's a little harder than showing what she might have done before or during.
Yeah, we don't know because we don't know that she just shut up.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. She didn't get on the phone. She certainly didn't like going over to her mother's house afterwards because the mother was, working towards fleeing and she didn't want to go help her mother with the trust or divide the money or look at things. She didn't want to be there.
Right.
I mean, that way she was very smart.
Yeah.
She was smart about it. Whatever impulse she had in going by the home, after going by the home, she cut that. Like she was like, "Oh, I screwed up, and I can't do that again." She didn't go by the home again. She left. And so somebody mentioned the property manager, So her lease was about to end on the Aqua Ridge property. If you look at just the calendar when it was rented, 12-month. I know the property manager. I've never asked him the question and won't because I feel like he could be a witness. So I don't want to ask the question when they were moving out and how much notice was given before they actually did it. So if they gave notice to him, it is a him, like 60 days out, hey, we're leaving. Could that be seen as agreement?
It shows knowledge. I don't know that it shows agreement. I mean, what in that shows that she agreed to have the conspiracy go forward? It shows knowledge, may show knowledge that she knew it was going forward, but I don't know how it shows agreement that it. I mean, agreement is tough.
Example of agreement where it's hard to show agreement. What case would that be? Other than Winchester, who turned state's evidence and flat out said, "Hey, I got a deal," which is the reason why I couldn't believe that they convicted her. Was because he was like, I got a deal and you're going to believe me.
And in fact, in that case, virtually all the evidence that was used against her came from him. It isn't as though there was lots of independent evidence there. It was from him. But that's the situation in which, at that motion, a judgment of acquittal, which was what that Williams case was. It was at that stage. The question is, or the issue is, if you take the information, the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, is there enough? And if you take it in the light most favorable to the state, so you don't say Brian Winchester had a reason for doing this, he certainly might have had a motive to lie. You just take what he says in the light most favorable to the state. What you have in that case is him saying that Denise and he worked out that what they were going to do and how the murder was going to be, and they tried all kinds of plans, and it was months, and Denise rejected things, and she ultimately accepted. That's agreement.
And they still took the words from a convicted man, which blows the mind.
Yeah.
That, hey, I got a deal, and they still believed him. I listened to that on the radio and watched it. And Mike Williams was a property appraiser. I'm a property appraiser. His signs were everywhere when I first moved here in 2003. That blessed mother of his who did not stop. But I still can't believe they believed him. I mean, in one case, her murder was overturned. So that I think it's not the jury that could convict. They're probably, because I think a jury would convict Wendy just for the notoriety of it. And I think in any county in the state. But it's the appellate court that you all keep bringing up. Like, what would the Supreme Court say? What would the appellate court say on a conspiracy?
Yeah. What would the judge say on that notice of that motion
Judgment
of
of acquittal.
acquittal? Yeah.
That's what my buddy said, who overheard a conversation. He said that they were worried about the judgment of acquittal.
Well, she intimated as much at that bar association meeting when she was talking about Donna. And I think Judy was right. She was talking about murder with Donna and whether they could get past the murder conviction. And I don't know that she'd be worried about murder with Wendy. I mean, I think conspiracy would be certainly a adequate way to go to bring charges, since the murder would be even harder.
Would they just go conspiracy, or is that too risky?
Well, the question, that's a tactical, and I don't know what all their evidence. So it's a tactical decision whether you want to charge both, because you can lose one. And if you're in front of the jury with both, assuming it gets to the jury may decide, well, there's not enough here, but now surely there's enough here. At the judgment of acquittal, it might be tactical that the judge will look at the murder and say, no, that one doesn't go forward, and then say, but there's enough on this one. On the other hand, I think some prosecutors looking at it would say, we don't really think we've got enough for the murder. Let's not do it. Let's focus all our attention and focus on what you need to show for the conspiracy. And we don't know what other evidence they might have. So it's even harder to make a sort of a call on what would be the smarter, more tactical decision.
So it writes, Wendy Jill had several burner phones, another reason for her to stop and get gas, because that dumpster is right there. She couldn't have the burner phone in her car when she eventually got stopped. She saw police officers, knew who she was because they were told to look for her. And then there was that. So by the time she got to Mosaic, those phones were gone. If she had them, gone. We don't know, because it's 2014.
Yeah.
And they don't have flock cameras in 2014. But yes, so thank you so much. I don't want to keep you. It's been an hour 17, and I want your family to be
mad at you.
Holding out. Yeah, mad at me. I don't need that. Virginia. Virginia is my favorite state.
Is it?
Yeah, my daughter's Molly, Virginia. Yeah, I love it so much. It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
it's everything. That state has everything.
No, it doesn't have Broadway. It doesn't have the New York Yankees.
But it has the mountains. It has the water. It has history. You know.
Yeah, that's true. There's history all along this coast. I like looking at mountains and grass and trees, but it only takes me so far. I want to see buildings and asphalt and people walking around and stores where you can shop. And
I'm a city girl too. I'm in Tallahassee because I have a business here. I wouldn't be here. I'd be back. Philly's my favorite town.
Philly is a great city.
You can't name your kid Philly, so
yeah, Philly is a great city. I agree with you.
This
was fun. You had wanted to talk about some other trial, I thought, at one point, because I can probably do another 5 or 10 minutes if you do. But
what was the trial? I don't remember now.
I don't remember. You had something you wanted to talk about that you had
maybe next time, but
all right,
next time for sure. I just can't think about it right now. But the Phoenix Eichner case, it was funny. I'll bring that up because it is a big case. And Jack Campbell, of course, is taking the lead. You know, he's got to be there, even though it's like a done deal. And that judge, I can't wait for him to be on TV. He goes to the same church I go to. He's very handsome, so he's about to get very famous. I told him. He is a JAG, so he's still in the reserves, and he was general counsel of the Department of Corrections, and then he was district, and now he's on the appellate court. So he said that you can still do, the district court trial. So he's doing the Phoenix Eichner, which is Phoenix Eichner's worst nightmare because his judge is now an appellate judge. And so Jack Campbell wanted to do 80 depositions. He said, I have 80 more depositions to do. And Judge Neff says, why? He goes, well, we have to go to Norway. They don't want to come here. And he goes, do they have material value to the case, or is it just 80 people?
And has anybody heard of Zoom?
And then he was like, he said, well, no, it's more about the sentencing. It turns out it's about the sentencing because it is a death sentence. Is what they're going to go after here. So they wanted to get all the other, the mitigation. I don't know that Tallahassee has the stomach, even for a Phoenix Eichner or a Daniel Spencer, to give a death sentence. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen. It hasn't happened since I think it was 2007 for a guy named Hilton. And he's still on death row, but that's it. Hasn't happened. And so I'm curious about that. But I thought it was interesting that Jack took that case. It's a slam dunk, but he didn't give it to Georgia.
Well, she said at that Tallahassee bar meeting, she said she has 40 to 60 active cases at any given time. And right now it's closer to 60.
And they've lost a couple big ones recently.
Have they?
Yeah. They were old cold case, like older one. And they lost them.
Yeah, well,
Georgia at the home too. So
I do think, some prosecutors you will hear say, gee, I never lost a case. And I will tell you that's a prosecutor who never took a difficult one. And I don't think that's a responsible prosecutor. As I said, if you have a sincere belief that the person did it and you think there is a way forward to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt for a serious crime, you should do it. And when you do those, because they're tough cases, you're not going to win every single one of them. And so your win-loss record is not going to look as good as somebody who's much more cautious and doesn't take those cases.
So we do not believe, we as in the Patty Cakes and Patty Melts, do not believe John Lauro would represent her in a conspiracy trial or murder trial.
I don't know if he's done. Yeah, I don't know if he's done much criminal practice, at least the kind of the state level, the murders, the burglaries, as compared to white collar things. And I assume that she will, having watched Charlie hire Daniel Rashbaum, who did criminal practice, but again, it was the white collar kinds of things and not the murders, that she would, I think she's going to go after, if she's ever charged, will go after the lawyer who's got the best record of dealing with murder prosecutions and, assault cases, that, serious crimes. Physical crimes.
You would think she'd be smarter after watching her family.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the cease and desist? I don't care. Like, I'm a person who doesn't care. He's not going to send one to me because I'm going to put it on a t-shirt and walk around with it.
Yeah. I heard him say that the only ones he brought, because he believes in the First Amendment. Now I'm paraphrasing, but alluding to what he said. And the ones they've brought are ones where they thought there was financial gain out of the program. And financial gain is not that you're streaming the program. Now, I haven't looked to see who he's picked to do the cease and desist with and who not. But if that's what he's doing, I mean, she's got a right of publicity that's hers, and you're not supposed to be able to profit off somebody's name, image, likeness, which is or defame her. She's got certainly a right to go after defamation, although that doesn't sound what he's talking about.
So Ryan Cox is a lawyer, so I am corrected. So Thank you for that. But what I say is, like, apparently I haven't read the cease and desist, but it says something very broad, which is a problem when you're sending them out, is that it was like, don't make fun of her friends and family. Like, it's very broad.
Well, that's covered by the First Amendment.
No,
she's a public figure, I believe.
Or in prison, you can't.
Yeah, and she's a public figure, I believe, so it's a higher standard before she can, she'd be able to do anything, and
she would have to sit for a deposition.
She would. Certainly would.
And that's where I think, oh, I don't know that she would do that. They couldn't even get her to answer the phone.
Yeah. That's another thing that I found. I'm going to have to go, but in what
Mhm.
Georgia said at the Tallahassee Bar Association meeting,
Mhm.
that Wendy, because she, they didn't offer her derivative use immunity. It came automatically with the subpoena forcing
Thank
her to
you.
testify on the stand. But since it was a subpoena that came, that the obligation to testify and therefore the immunity came because of the statute, she had no obligation to talk to them prior to getting on the stand.
Nope.
So Georgia said at that bar association meeting, she wouldn't talk to them at all. The only time she would talk to her was on the stand. So she never knew what the answer to the question was going to be because she couldn't depose her. Wendy said no. And it was because Wendy, at the deposition, presumably was claiming a Fifth Amendment right. So she only knew when she was on the stand, which I had not really thought about before. She
I didn't
actually
know that.
said that John Lauro was pleasant, but Wendy was not.
Interesting to know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure John Laura is very good at talking to prosecutors, but Wendy, would you or would you not, as a John Lauro or any representative of your client, prepare them for trial? Because so many of her answers changed as the trials went forward.
Absolutely, you would prepare a client for trial, and he's a very good lawyer. So of course, but you can't control what your client does when she gets on the stand. You can prepare all you want, but once the client is on the stand, it's her ballpark, not yours. And the only thing you can do as you're listening to it is cringe if you think the client shouldn't go there. I mean, I'm sure he told her, don't quibble. Answer the question that's asked, answer it yes or no, particularly if they're going to be able to come after you with the second or third question and you're going to have to ultimately agree anyway. And she did get better. She was much better at Donna's trial than she was at Charlie's trial.
She still changed her story.
Yeah.
She changes her story. That's the problem.
But she's not going to get on the stand if she's prosecuted. Won't
She
get
will
on the
never be on
stand
the
at her trial. So whatever she did, however she changed her story, even if she can be impeached on it, and I'm not so sure she can, but even if she could be, it's never going to come up because she's never going to get on the stand.
Never getting on the stand.
So you're never going to be able to do it.
Oh, it's so sad though. How much I could tear her apart some more.
You want to volunteer to do the cross? Is that it?
Her home that they rented when they first moved to Austin, it's this 2-story colonial. They staged it to rent it out. Yep. So they brought in furniture. They didn't change out the closet because I could see her clothes. So I knew which dresses she wore, like you can tell. And you can find it in old Instagram photos. But they changed out the furniture because of YouTubers. So I was like, good for the stager. I was very happy. But there were other photos where I found, which I would never share. It has the boys in them to prove that was their house and that what the old furniture looked like. But I only showed what was listed on the Zillow. So.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to get going. This was fun.
Thank you.
Okay. So long.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for watching. Somebody asked, can you move Professor Joe to the left? I'm like, I can't do that while it show airs. I have no idea why they wanted to be moved to the left, but they wanted to be moved to the left. So I'm sorry if I didn't get to any of your questions or all of your questions. There was absolutely no way to do it. So I just did it where I saw a cue or somebody I knew and a question that hadn't already been answered that we hadn't already discussed. So I just really appreciate you all for being here. It was very nice. Preacher Man is a new member. And of course, Mari, thank you so much for the $2. Appreciate the shout out. Thanks, Patty. We'll cover Shanna Gardner trials August 2nd. I just don't know. My life is such that with my husband, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing next week. So thank you, Professor Joe. I wish I knew. If you're watching from Professor Joe's side, the reason I say that is my husband has dementia. So I just never know what I'm able to do or accomplish. Work comes first. I don't really, I wish I could do YouTube full time, but I cannot. So I can't really commit to watching something if I see it. like with a Melanie Ferris case, and I have the time, I'm happy to do it. I would love to have her back again. I would absolutely love. I hope she had a good time. I do. She's fabulous to talk to. Couldn't Jeff's testimony impeach her? Yeah, but I think it's this agreement thing we have to worry about. It's the agreement. Thank you, Debbie Gibby, very much for that. But it's the agreement. And when you watch Judy and Professor Joe's show the other day, that's where you learn, oh, that's where you learn. That's why I'm not in law school. That is where you learn I'm not in law school and I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like you just wish. I don't know. I wish to God that there was more to the agreement, but if they're still trying to go for murder and not have just the conspiracy, I think that's a problem. I really do. I think it's a problem because I don't think they have enough for murder at all. Yeah, she forces them to sit and watch a broken TV for over a week. So ridiculous. Feed your husband eggs and cod liver oil. It's not going to help, but thank you so much. I really do. Your ancestors were from Scotland. My ancestors were Welsh and Scottish. The Ferris case was wild. It really was. It was fun to do. I could concur law school. Oh, I could. I mean, I could. But I don't have a 4-year degree to even get into law school. Ratings for you and your hubby. We appreciate you, admire. Oh, thank you, my 3 sons. It should be full time. I wish. I have a hard time on a StreamYard situation interviewing someone. I do it on the radio, and it's a lot easier face to face when someone's going to stop and talk, and it's just harder in StreamYard because there's an automatic, even though I'm watching myself right now, there's an automatic delay. And so you have to get used to that. That's the challenge I have. And plus, I just never want, I'll let it riff when I'm by myself, but I never want to get anyone. I want to make everyone look good. That's the job of the interviewers, to make everyone look good. Does that make sense? So let me find real quick, because this Debbie Martin question's got me. So Dan Markel. Can I go to newspapers? I can. Let me go to newspapers.com. Hold on. I'm going to find the original murder photos. Because I don't have a Broadway show to go to. Of course not. Let's see. Look at this. It tells you how long they took to report this stuff. Look at this. So I have a subscription to newspapers.com. So that's where this comes from. And it says TPD spokesman David Northway meets with reporters. This is July 23rd. July 23rd. And says Dan Markel died from a gunshot wound to the head. Tallahassee police announced Tuesday. So this is, 5 days after. TPD will strive to release updates in a timely manner. Chief DeLeo is no longer the chief, thank God. He was a mess anyway. Markel, a 41-year-old professor, blah, blah, blah. Let me see if I can find another one. But I wanted you to see that. I thought that was interesting when I saw that it took that long to do it. Let's see. 911 call CBC. Trying to find the here it is. It's archives. I can't really tell from this photo. It's blurry. Where the crime scene tape goes apart. And I don't know. I think this is, I don't know my directions, but I think this is from Trescott and Benton, not Trescott and Centerville. So this is before where I walked, not where I think the house is on the left side of this picture. Let me see it in this video.
Find your inner anthem, write another stanza.
Eyewitness News at 5. Coverage you can count on.
Police respond to the sound of gunfire and a quiet went door to door in the Benton Hills neighborhood where the murder took place. They were asking to see if anybody saw something between the hours of 10 in the morning to noon on Friday. Police say they're looking for possible witnesses and further clues.
I can't tell you how shocking it was. Late
She's also a commissioner.
Friday
was a
night
commissioner.
to find out that the young man we had met several years ago was shot.
TPD has increased its reward now for information regarding his death from $1,000 to $3,000. You know anything about the case, please call the special case tip line at TPD. That's 891-4462. Police released a vehicle of interest yesterday. There it is, a picture of a silver Toyota Prius. TPD tells us a local business partner in the area captured video of the car seen in the area of Markel's home the day he was shot.
He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay, what's going on with him?
They never captured
I don't
video.
know. The driver's side
They never captured video that we know of.
window is all bashed in, and he's got blood all over his head.
That murder remains unsolved a year later. Today, TPD released a video highlighting 3 distinct features about that car. It's got a hole in the front bumper from a missing tow bolt, a black passenger side mirror, and SunPass or Easy Pass there in the windshield. The FBI in Miami, which is helping TPD with the investigation, notes that those SunPasses are mostly found in South Florida. TPD believes it may possibly have been used by the perpetrator in the crime and then returned to the owner without their knowledge.
They're still frustrated about how they still don't know why or who would take Markel's life right here inside of his own garage.
It was just a dagger in the heart, man. He's a great guy. Great guy. And, you know, sometimes, Chris, you ask yourself, you know, and being a pastor, I ask myself, you know, God, why you take the good ones, you know, and I still haven't gotten an answer from God on that.
Police arrested 34-year-old Sigfredo Garcia last night in Hellendale Beach. That's nearly 500 miles from Tallahassee. Police say Markel was shot in the head while sitting in his car in his garage. That was nearly 2 years ago. Today, Tallahassee police would not comment on a motive or what led to Garcia's arrest. Garcia made his first court appearance in Broward County. Garcia told the judge he had no idea he was a murder suspect.
Justice appears to be on its way to being done.
We start our newscast tonight with some breaking news in the Dan Markel murder for hire case. A new suspected link is in police custody. Catherine McBanawa is the suspected link between Markel's ex-wife and the 2 men accused of shooting him.
Markel breaks through. One of the former FSU law professors accused killers, Luis Rivera, pleads guilty in court.
That plea took just 15 minutes, but the ripple effects from it could be huge. Luis Rivera pleading no contest to second-degree murder, and he agreed to testify against the 2 other people charged in this case, Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine Magbanawa. We will hear all of the evidence against Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine Magbanawa over the next month. A jury selected late this afternoon after 3 full days of questioning.
Did he ever joke about he looked into hiring a hitman, but buying you a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper?
He did make that joke.
Went to the driver's side and shot him.
He shot Mr. Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Twice.
Justice served. More than 5 years after Dan Markel's murder, the accused triggerman Sigfredo Garcia found guilty. Now a jury will decide on Monday whether or not he will receive the death penalty.
A half hour after Garcia's verdict, a hung jury declared in the case of co-defendant Catherine Magbanawa.
On count 1, I sentence you to life in prison.
We have continuing coverage tonight. Suspected triggerman Sigfredo Garcia escaping the death penalty and getting a life sentence today for the murder of Dan Markel.
It's been a long road, and I'm really happy to get the beginnings of some justice for the Markel family.
A bombshell in the Dan Markel murder case as U.S. Marshals arrest his brother-in-law in the murder for hire plot 8 years later.
Charlie Adelson arrested.
Let me go back.
His brother-in-law.
You
in
can
the
see
murder-
there were 4 numbers apart. It's 2112 versus 2120, 2122, 2126. So they're 4 numbers apart. So see where I say that's the part, that's the way she drove down.
Arrest his brother-in-law in the murder.
Let me go back.
Dan Markel murder case as U.S. Marshals.
So right here, you go down. The house is on the right-hand side. She drove down towards Benton on Trescott. 2126, 2122, and then it skips a lot, but they are double lots, like I think not Mia, True Crime Wifey said. So there are, or Rebecca, that there are double lots. So they're on this side of the road. Where I walked when I did that old video was where that telephone pole is. I have no idea what's on the other side. I never paid attention because I was paying attention to how she drove down. And it's on the curve, which you can see here. You can see the curve. And you can also see how narrow that road is because the car is sitting in it. Does that make sense? So, I don't know what the house numbers are, but I know where that tape is compared to further down. They're standing here, but the house is not right there. Let me go to the map. Go to the map. Sorry, I have to move my screen around. So where that crime scene tape is at 2126, 220 feet, and then this is the Trescott, right? So, but this is where the so it goes 2126, then there's 6 digits, then there's 4. But the crime scene tape was right outside this house. Right there. Telephone pole. That always makes me laugh. Gray Hughes and I both have Google. It's right there. So that's where the tape was, right in front of that house. 220 feet. So you can again see how narrow the road is. You drive down, blah, 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 blah. And then she's coming. Let's do the eagle eye, right? She goes the whole way down here. If I had a little car, I'd be better at this. She sees the tape. Where in here, she makes her, quote, K turn, right? I thought she turned up Blythe and came down Randolph and cut it to Benton. That's not what she says. In her questioning, she says she turns around and drives the whole way back. I think she was a nervous little shit where she didn't think about turning on Blythe. So I think she was nervous. Oh shit, what am I going to do? And wanted to get further away where the traffic was being tossed, because this whole area was a madhouse by that time. And then she comes down Centerville to Benton, goes here, visits her little liquor store, drives up. Circle K is right here. See Circle K right here. Leaves there. Maybe she goes, dumps the phone. Maybe she doesn't go, dump. I have no idea. I believe now she went down Post Road because This road leads to a trail, which leads to right behind that house. So she would have known from law enforcement, because this was all blocked this way. It was blocked here, like up here, and then down there. So back Post Road, there's a house with a red roof she would have been able to see. Period. If you take it, let me do it this way. June. Gonna let me do it. It's 2126. That's the telephone pole right there. That's where the crime scene tape was noted. Go up. That's the house. And you can see, like I did in my walk, you can see where the hedges are, right? So you can see the little Google shadow. The hedges are right here. The guys come down this way. She's coming down this way. So when they pull in, you don't see anything. And he was already in the garage. And take off down here to the one, which house has the red roof? I think it's right here. It is. This house. This house right directly behind this is Post Road.
Arrest his brother-in-law in the murder for hire plot 8 years later.
Charlie Adelson arrested at his home in South Florida this morning after a Leon County grand jury indicted him last night.
Testimony in Catherine Magbanow's retrial could last through next week. A group of 14 people will ultimately have to decide whether Catherine Magbanow was part of a conspiracy to kill FSU professor Dan Markell.
It's not 14 people. It's 12. 2 are alternates. They're not deciding anything. Who does this?
Before we get started, I just want to ask you how you're feeling. Freaking out. Would you have ever assisted anyone in having a father of 2 killed?
No, ma'am. He's never spoken about Professor Markell or murder.
Can you even tolerate her for 5 minutes? So hard.
Or having anything to do with that. That's why it didn't raise anything.
The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Catherine Magbanow guilty on all counts, emotional and sobbing loudly inside the Leon County courtroom after the verdict was read.
I know it's unusual for a lawyer, but I think I'm without words to express how happy we are.
Day 1 of jury selection still underway in the murder trial of Charlie Adelson.
This defendant was the solution to that problem because he had a girlfriend with connections to the type of people who were willing and capable of pointing a gun at a complete stranger and pulling the trigger.
The state itself has called Catherine Magbanow the mastermind. And that's exactly what she was.
Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired him, right?
I lied. I lied in my trials to save myself. I wanted the truth to finally come out.
How do you feel right now?
Really nervous.
Why are you nervous?
My whole life depends on it.
Did you cause the death of Professor Dan Markell?
Absolutely no.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Feeling thrilled. I'm feeling relieved. I'm feeling like a lot of hard work has paid off.
Is this the last prosecution we're going to see in the Dan Markell murder, or will there be others?
I don't know the answer to that question yet.
Next at 5, just steps away from boarding an international flight, Donna Adelson instead spending the night in a Miami jail. The surprise arrest of Charlie's mother, yet another shocking twist after a grisly Tallahassee murder.
Attorney Jack Campbell spoke with reporters about this today. He said Donna Adelson was arrested just before her flight was scheduled to take off, literally as she was boarding the plane.
Find your inner anthem, write another stanza.
So, this is from the dates that I did this is from 2/15. So if you go down here, it's 2/15. Not. So that's kind of what the hedges look like before. On 2015. So if you're pulling up in a Prius, right? You're coming down here. Let me go up. Pulling up in a Prius, which is super quiet, and there's hedges here. He wouldn't have seen anybody. He was also on the phone. So he wasn't paying attention until a person came up behind him. And that's what happened. But this is the phone pole that I walked to. And it was like, oh, that's where they had it tied to. Why he said 4 or 5 houses, I don't know. I have no idea. But that's 2016, 2022. Then here they pinpoint the garage. So this is 2020. What is this? What day it is? 2026. And says he was in the garage. Well, the family, Rob says in the house. Chicky Poo says on the phone to her mother in the house. It was in the garage. 12:45 p.m. August 18th. Let me zoom in. $2,100 block. Don't you love that? He died early Saturday morning after being rushed to Tallahassee Memorial. Rushed was a different word then because we know there was a lawsuit because of the 911 dispatch. Car keys were still in his black 2008 Honda Accord. So the car was 6 years old. Her Honda Odyssey, what year was that? The car was not locked and was processed by forensics. The 4-page report is mostly redacted, including what Markel was doing before the incident. The neighbor who reported described as a 72-year-old. So now he's 86. 86 years old, Geiger now. He also said he saw a vehicle leave the area, possibly white or silver. The man further described the car as being small, clean, and possibly a newer model. Police released what appeared to be a light-colored Toyota Prius-like car. So that happened, 8 days. TPD spokesman Northway did not provide any more details about the car exactly until later. And then they mark out, this is the only vehicle of interest. And that's the family of interest. Patty, I think Wendy got the rye instead of bourbon because she was so distracted after seeing the tape. Yeah. I don't believe that she meant to buy rye. I believe she meant to buy bullet. Yeah, he wasn't rushed anywhere, right? But that really wasn't the 911 guy's fault. It really wasn't. They blamed him. He lost his job, but it wasn't his fault. The whole place was a mess when they consolidated. Here on the 22nd, he was the intended victim. This is what I remember when this came out. No evidence this is a random act. Because we didn't know. We had no idea. Neighbor reported a loud bang. Police arrived. Markel to the hospital where he died early Saturday. He would not have survived. His head was entirely he was not going to survive. But I'm glad the family sued because it probably helped fix the consolidated dispatch. The investigation has provided no indication this case is connected to a burglary or robbery. There's no evidence this is a random act. "29th, they're trying to put pieces together of his final day." There's my buddy Rudy. Separate issue. There's my buddy Rudy. Report shows he was found in the garage with a window bashed out from a gunshot. Police hope to reconstruct his blood. Here's his license number. Honda Accord with license number blank. If they saw Markel or his black 2008 Honda Accord with this license number in the following places: area of Tharp and Mission, which was leaving the daycare; Thomasville Road corridor, the area surrounding FSU College of Law, Congregation Shamar Torah, which I'm sure I obliterated. He was shot about 11 a.m. and was rushed to the Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Is that what it was called then? TMH Healthcare. We believe Markel was in all these areas. We're wondering if someone may have seen him either in his vehicle, outside, talking with someone. Pamela Phelps, the owner of Creative Preschool, said Markel stopped by between 9 and 9:30 on the area to just drop off his kid. Courtesy of Tamara Demko. Tell you what, that girl has had a glow up. She looks really good. Really, really good. Targeted at the get-go. Yeah, they were able to. Fun fact, Jane McPherson drove a Prius. That would have been funny. Ma'am, would you please get out of your car? I built a 911 facility once. The concrete floor had to be dead level for the equipment for some reason. Interesting. Well, thank you, Beach Bum. Thanks for tuning in. I know. I just don't think they're going to get her on the murder, which I've said since they asked for restitution. That was my cue. None of this stuff like Judy and Professor Joe. They asked for restitution from the one person. True Crime Wifey shared that the hospital had a different name. I just called it TMH my whole time. I worked at TMH from 2003. Well, what is it? 2001 to 2003. So you can easily see Dan's hell tape was like one house down. It's like 1.5, because the lots are wide. We're still live, Blue Rose. I'm so sorry. We're still live. Tamara has always been beautiful. Never since she wasn't, but she has had a glow up. She is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh, wait. What is going on? Oh, bless your heart. My lawn guy was at my house and he sends photos. Rate. It says rates held better expected this week. Conventional is 6.4. Cheers. Yeah, FHA is the way to go. Patty, do you have a picture of Tamara Demko? A recent one? I had no idea who she was. That's how, again, her hair's longer. She's like, here's what she looks like now. Isn't that what they call it? A glow up? I can't be wrong. I mean, I can be, but let me find another picture of her younger. Now, granted, the other images I have of her were after her best friend was killed, right? So there is a difference. Let's see. Trying to find another photo of her that makes sense. And she's so smart too. Leslie B had this a while back where she went over her testimony. So this is her there. And I've seen her with shorter hair. And then this is her now. So when she walked into the courtroom, I was like, oh, is she dating somebody? Like, I thought the person she was with, who I won't know, I was like, is that his girlfriend? And then they're like, no, Patty, that's Tamara Demko. And I was like, oh my God. Wow. She has lost a lot of weight. She is, I mean, top notch, man. She's in a 55 out of a 10. Like, she looks fantastic. You know, when I first read this, because of the way YouTube chops the thing, it says, been super busy today, and the puppy had the vet for a checkup, and then I went to fleas. I was like, oh my God. I think that the interview, she was in rough shape. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I mean, girl, you look gorgeous. You're stunning. I do too. I think she loved him too. Definitely loved him as a friend. I appreciate that Wendy kept vomiting nonsense with Isom, but the truth is Isom dropped the ball. I know. I hate saying it because I live here, but I know. Oh, that's hilarious. She got me on 1.5. I can't even, I would never, I barely listen to myself as it is on here, but she was a good friend too, Wendy. Yep. She's an attorney. She's brilliant, man. She's got a lot going for her. Pretty girl. And she moved out of the area. She said she could not live here after he was murdered. So she moved out of the area. Glad you took a nap. I wish I could take a nap. Oh, my anthem, booze, Botox, and gravity. Oh, I didn't hijack her channel. Ison probably thinks he did a good job. I'm sure he doesn't watch this. I mean, we are like 30,000 feet above sea level, so it is different. But we're also women, you know, a large majority of this channel are women, and it's very different when you see a female going, am I a suspect? Yes, you are. You are a suspect. But he did keep her going. It's the rest of it. So what we don't know is after Craig Isom releases her well after 7 o'clock. So the Stock the Party bar party wasn't out. Was like, where'd she go? What'd she do? We don't know. We don't know. She go to Lynn's house. She go home. We know the next morning she's taking kids' clothes and distributing them. Yeah, they were mutual friends. Oh, yeah, she's super educated, Tamara's. Harvey gave her the creeps. She was scared of Harvey. I mean, she said it, that she felt very nervous when Harvey saw her when she stopped by the house and felt nervous looking at him. Yeah. Harvey, bad vibes. Harvey gave us all bad vibes. Would you say, Rebecca, if you're still watching? Harvey gave us, or anybody who was in that courtroom with Harvey would say there were a lot of bad vibes. I mean, I know how he was with that photographer who was doing her job and like did this thing. And he's just like, law enforcement needed to escort his ass out is what needed to happen. When you hear the name Wendy, you think Pepto-Bismol. There's a meme. You're 21 feet below sea level. Thank you. You can watch. Oh, bless you. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. You introduced yourself to James Geiger at Publix and said the whole community thanks him, but should have said the whole world does. Took him aside, did not say his name. I can't believe you knew who he was. I saw him when I was walking down the street that day, and I hid. I didn't want him to see me. I didn't want to put the man on the spot. I was like, I'm going to stop here. There were more friends for a time. New South Dakota prison being built, about to get comfier. Please don't say that. Please don't say that. My hair is especially fine. Well, now I have a shower. So my water heater died, and being my frugal self, I waited till I basically traded it out myself. So I had to wait for the thing to drain, and then I changed out the water heater. You can change out your own without being a licensed plumber in the city of Tallahassee. And it really isn't hard to do. It's just screwing on and screwing the wires. But I am not a big lifter. So you had to wait for that. So there was no shower for me for a day and a half till I could get rid of that water. Wendy was giving the kids away. Yeah, she gave the kids clothes away. Who wanted to hug the paralegal that babysat Donna? What? Oh, Harvey. Oh, yes, that's true. I did. I've never been able to figure out that girl's name, by the way. Josh Selman's girl. I have no idea who it is. Wonder if he's posted, if he's updated his site and has her as a on his website yet. If he has any of his paralegals. Contact us. No. No, he doesn't have her on there. I know somebody who knows him. I have to remember to ask him who that girl is, if he'll tell me. He has his office is on Lafayette, which is where Alex Morris is. We were at 1030 Lafayette, but I forget my suite number then. But apparently, the attorney now handling Donna's bar. Oh, that's what I was going to ask her. Fudge. I wanted to know why. Oh, man. I have to email Professor Joe. Why Donna's, all the files are redacted. That's what I wanted to know. Fuck. So pissed I forgot to ask her. I was always shocked that Wendy didn't demand to see her boys. Patty, you look like a Manhattan interior decorator with these glasses. Well, thank you. My business partner, Scott, gave them to me. And I'll tell you, they look a lot, to me, they look better on camera than they do in person. I look so smart. Yeah. Scott gave them to me. I love them because the sides stretch. Where are they? They're peepers. They're peepers. Harvey is a scary rageaholic. Yeah, he's got the anger issues. You still have nightmares from Harvey's speech. He's disgusting. He's not even human. It's bad. Now I have to look up South Dakota prisons. That's a good point. Let me see. I don't know where they're building. Well, if they're going to keep taking all the Florida's people. Oh, yeah. Look at this. East of Sioux Falls. I always wanted to go to South Dakota. See the Badlands. South Dakota is actively building a new $650 million, 1,500-bed state men's prison, northeast Sioux Falls. The state broke ground on the 148-acre site on Benson Road, targeted for 2029. Undeveloped patch. That's not it. $20.24. Oh, this is for the 300 female. They just started it like April, so. I don't know what that means, Caroline. I'm sorry. So is that you sorted, Patty? I don't know what that means. So glad Harvey proved to everyone who he really is. Oh yeah, can you imagine that hand, those hands in your mouth, breathing on you? Can you imagine? Oh, I broke a nail. Yes, I did. I've been so busy. I know it's embarrassing, right? I have never broken a nail, nor have I had to wait so long to get into the nail place because of my work schedule and my life. I'm going tomorrow at 2:00. So yeah, this one's broke too. Literally flips right up. I have to take it off later. Harvey is creeper. Oh, I don't think she got rid of her dad. I think Wendy still talks to her dad. Charlie had a fit when he stubbed his toe with the door opening. He's whiny and entitled. So remember Harvey and Wendy kissed. When she got off the stand, she came down and kissed her father. You went without a week when ours died. I hired someone though, and I'm glad I did because the main water shutoff valve didn't do its job. Oh, that's a bitch. That's different. Mine shut off, so I had a cool. Hi, Karen. How are you? I like the glasses, very on trend. Well, Scott knows I like to change up my glasses. I have like 4 sitting here. I have these. I think I have like 4 pair. So, and these are heavy, and I don't always like this. These came from Aldi. These came from Aldi. Hi, AA Legal Focus. Thank you for watching, and thanks for doing that show with Professor Joe. I think it was very, very informative. I didn't like it. It was the Ben Franklin close. You know, the positives and the negatives. That's what in sales we call it, the Ben Franklin close. I didn't like it, but I respected it. Yeah, that was my main question. I'm going to have to send her an email. Was it said some? I don't know if they were swingers. I don't even like Dawn E. Come on. Don't put that in my head. Good God. Did you know you need your house inspected for home insurance? Yes. You do need your house inspected for insurance. Talking about the Adelsons always seems to make me want to eat Wendy's burgers and fries. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really spent a lot of time on it. Put in for a visitation. Oh, to go to South Dakota? I want to go because of that. You know, I'm a big fan of Little House on the Prairie, and there's a new one out. It has issues with it, but overall, I think it's beautiful. It's too clean, like it's too Pottery Barn-esque. They didn't live like that. But I do want to go see where the Ingalls lived in South Dakota and see Mount Rushmore and the Badlands. You know, I thought that too, but Ben Graber's timeline doesn't match Donna's timeline. So. He is a decorator. Scott is a decorator, which is the reason why we have drama and blah behind my head. Now that we know Rob was a confidential informant, don't we think there's more in Wendy? I mean, you would think. She was loving up on her brother because she needed to. Patty. Mary Smith KW. Are you with Keller Williams, Mary? Wendy has social worker friends because she understands her mom's enmeshment issues, and social workers help traumatize kids, just like Wendy. Oh, yeah, I think I don't know. I'd have to look. Does a narcissist They need that feed, right? Don't they need that emotional feed because they are so emotionally empty? Those high-rise Miami beach flats are sinking and coming down left and right. Oh. I know one came down. How old is Charlie now? How old is Charlie? 44? Hold on. $50. Holy crap, he's 50. Yes, there are statute of limitations on just about anything but murder. Yeah. Yeah, it's another reason why I was moving a water heater and busted the nails. Thanks, Debbie Gibby. You were in West Palm Beach yesterday. It's incredibly level of luxury homes they're building there. Why isn't Harv being prosecuted? From your, I think AA Legal Focus and I and all of us agree he should have been, along with Donna. I thought Wendy ghosted. Nope. No. No, remember there was that picture of Wendy and Donna, Wendy and her dad in the Whole Foods. Hold on. After her mother was arrested. Let's see. This is someone's TikTok. Wendy in the wild, that's Harvey. And Wendy and her bow-legged self. And this is at Whole Foods. Nope. But she didn't move. I mean, she moved to South Florida. No, I mean to Texas. Because they didn't have grandparents' rights there. Here's her with the trial. So there's Morgan Cunnincutt and her rat's nest of a head. This is a woman that works with John Lauro. I think that woman I know it's a woman, but she's a big girl. And then there's Ugly Wendy and then Harvey staring down the photographer. But they were all in a gaggle at the end of the hallway at the courthouse. So no, she has conversations with her dad. See if there's another one. I'm looking for more photos of the two. I thought there was more, but I think the most recent is at the courthouse. And then before that, the Whole Foods, that someone was able to grab a photo. After that video, I actually did go get a Biggie meal with nuggets and a Diet Coke. It's funny. No wiretaps on Harvey, no. Your glasses look like Iris. You know I'm going to have to look these people up. I don't know who you're talking about. Apfel? Oh! I thought that was who you meant. This is my mother-in-law. I swear to God. Chris's mom looked just like this lady. She was so fabulous. She looked just like her. Imagine having the confidence to dress like that. Because that's what that is. That is pure confidence. So admire it. I really do. I do not have that confidence. Is Donna seriously being wheeled around in person? No, she's not. No. Little rumor mill said that she would do yoga in her cell down at the courthouse. So no. Mm-mm. It's all for show. I always wonder what Donna thought of Wendy's testimony. Well, you can watch it. You watch her face. I was listening to Prof Joe and fell asleep. Oh my gosh. Found myself here, so I like your vibe. Well, thank you. Little Miss Red Velvet, OG. I know she references you because I do watch Professor Joe, so I know she references your questions quite a bit. So welcome. Who is the attorney that illegally provided use of cellular type communication to Donna? We believe that is Jackie Fulford. That's what we believe. Just came home from thrifting. Did you find anything else fabulous? I need to know where you thrift because you get some good stuff. I hope they release Donna's jail cell calls. We can make it a movie night. I wonder why they haven't. I don't know. I don't know why they haven't. Has anyone tried to get them? Has Judy or maybe True Crime Wifey has tried to get them? I don't know. Someone's calling me. My husband wants to know when dinner is, I think. I know. This is what they bring up in here. Wonder what Charlie would do for a Wendy burger. YB, that's the answer. That is the answer. Maybe they could just toss that at him. Come see me in Minnesota. There are Little House people live there too. They did. I know, but it's very cold. It's a little bit different in Minnesota than South Dakota. You went for 5 days. It was amazing. I'm jealous. I really have always wanted to go. Mount Rushmore. Even though when you get there, it's like, oh, there's Mount Rushmore. This is me. I was like, oh, the first time I saw the Statue of Liberty. Okay, there it is. Where are we going now? I'm not a very good tourist that way. I'm like, okay, saw it. But I have always wanted to see the Badlands. Sometimes you just want a cheap nugget. This county did charge someone recently with witness tampering, so I know they're capable of it. They just haven't done it to any of these people. Oh, well, one of Donna's dating selections for Wendy went under the name Kinky Sex. And I think we can all agree that True Crime Wifey reminded me a little bit ago how many people she bedded when she was with Jeffrey Lacoste. Fuel. Oh yeah, Fuel where what's her face and Ruth Markel met. Karen Cyphers was at Fuel, which is where Scott gets his hair done. So my business partner, his hair gets done there. Why didn't I went there once? I wasn't as much of a fan as Scott is, but I wanted a perm, so it's very different. Why didn't Fulford get into trouble for the Apple Watch? I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea. Oh, well, thank you. How kind. I didn't know you could do that, but thank you very much. I guess you can. Just 2 tabs. That's cool. Thank you so much. I can't compare anything to New York City stomping grounds. Yeah. He's 49 until his birthday in late October, but still he's older than I said 44, so still older than I thought. Maybe Judy will know my answer or the answer to my question since she's here. Let me post her. Why is Donna Adelson's appellate record redacted? Why is everything redacted? It doesn't happen for everybody, but it's definitely happening for her. And I don't know why, and I want to know. I've asked local attorneys here, and they were shocked when I said how much of her record is redacted. I think California, you're right, but I also think one of my girls was also right when it said when Donna dies and he doesn't have that shame. It's just like me. So when I with my parents living, I didn't cuss like a sailor on YouTube. Didn't do it. I didn't do any of that. Like when my parents were alive, I was like, well, I don't want to embarrass my parents. And it wasn't like it would have changed because it would have been exactly the same had I had the confidence to do it. But I didn't. I mean, it was a big deal when I became an orphan. When my parents died 5 years ago, both of them, it was very different outcome. And I think it changed a lot of how I thought about myself and my verbiage and how I was going to carve out the rest of my life because I moved here for my parents. And and my dad wouldn't have cared if I cussed like, a truck driver, but my mother did. And so she knew I would swear, but she wouldn't know as much. She would not have tolerated it at all. I was very sick. I was at Temple University back in the day, 86, I think it was, and I was very, very, very sick. I had an abdominal infection and had sepsis and very sick. And my mother came to visit me, and I was out of it, but told later on, I had friends who had a band and it was DFYS. And my brother was like, he told me later, what does DFYS mean? And I was out of it. And I was like, don't fuck with our shit. And that's what it meant. And my mother got pissed. And meanwhile, I'm like out of it, septic, and she left the room. She was so absolutely mortified that I would say, even in my delirium, fuck to her. But so yeah, I was always very conscious of that and didn't want to embarrass her. So I didn't do things like that. Not on the radio. I'm a lot more open and a lot more telling my opinion, where I wouldn't have done it with my mother because I wouldn't want her to leave the room. But she left the room that day, I was told, and I was sick as a dog. And she's don't fuck with her shit. DFYS. Harvey should be charged if that's true. Why would they lie at the CLE about Harvey paying for hotels for the jail buddies? Why would they announce that at a CLE and then not charge him? How embarrassing to me, right? I mean, we're going to tell, this is a literally bar education situation. We're educating the bar about how we handled a case. And yet you've got him paying for jail buddies, hotels, and you're not going to charge him for it. Blows the mind, I swear. Blows my mind. Nice, Mia. That was really nice. Wendy is extremely knock-kneed. I thought Harvey was taller. Nope. I'm taller than Harvey. I'm taller than he is. Charlie has to be insane, I would think. Especially when that appeal is denied. You would think that he would go on the cuckoo's nest. It's really hard to get the information because he's in a South Dakota prison, which doesn't have the sunshine laws, and the Florida does. So she knows Harvey is the one on the outside that can change the will to leave everything to her and the boys. Donna reminds you of the Crypt Keeper. Boy, I would love to see an updated photo of her. Patty, during Donna's trial, Georgia, questioned Wendy about the contacts in her phone. She questioned the pictures she had associated with mom, dad, Dan. Could you see what picture she used for Dan? I could not. I'm sure it was something to the effect of gibbers. I think that's why she brought it up. I don't know. Dad manages his commissary. Charlie can't turn. That is a really good point. However, you can maybe get less time, right? Charlie did already seem crazy in the transport video, and Tanika's 2 cents got for us. He was talking to himself like a crazy homeless guy. That's how I saw it. I thought he'd already lost his mind. You used to be a nurse's aide, and I'd find residents in bed with each other. That happened a lot. I remember working in at it used to be called Altera Clarebridge. Now it's Brookdale. I think it's Brookdale Clarebridge. Different brand name. And we would get calls all the time because the residents would be canoodling. Well, they had dementia. They didn't know they were still married. And the children would lose their minds over it. Harvey maybe 5, I think closer to 5'7". Wendy is taller than Harvey. Wendy did say she wanted to be a giraffe. Her legs are trying. Wendy is the type to consume cold soup. I would have told on anybody to get out of prison. I would think so too. It's a lot to take. If you ask me, Harvey looks like the runt of a man. He is the runt of a man. You like my new background with the paintings? Oh, well, they've been there. They've been there. They've been there. You can see right here, the blonde, that's my mother-in-law and her daughter, who has since passed. It's a sketch, a pastel. They've been there. This, a YouTuber sent me. It's Kentucky. This is the owl clock that I found on Marketplace that I paid way too much money for, but it's an owl. This is just a mirror. Rashi's only 5'4". She does have lady friends that crush on her. I have another question about that, and I think you answered it, but if you could answer it again, and Debbie Martin answered it, that Wendy is using Wendy Estrada when she introduces herself and then as an attorney. So that Instagram photo that Leslie B found, which Wendy is with this poor child of God that doesn't know anything. She's like from Europe somewhere, I think Germany, and introduces in her caption about Wendy Estrada. And I'm like, can you do that and call yourself an attorney? So she had to introduce herself. The girl just didn't make it up. This is Wendy Estrada. Now, I know it's not in print or in advertising, but can you just socially change your name and call yourself an attorney in the, Florida bar? I don't know. I know that as a real estate agent, I cannot say my Johnson's my main name. I can't say Patty. I can't say Patricia Johnson. I have to, whatever name I use, I can use a nickname as my first name, but I cannot use my surname. My last name must be Wilson, which is my legal name. So it's whatever is on your license. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know. I know what Debbie Martin said as far as, but I don't know if that's the question that you can say it in a social setting that your name is different while describing yourself as an attorney. You requested Donna's jail calls earlier this spring, but they said they couldn't give you any. Ooh. Charlie should be in Wendy's commercial. Ew. No, he shouldn't. What actress will play Wendy? Oh, wow. Today's? I still think Carrie Russell would be a really good Wendy. That's who I think. I like Carrie Russell a lot. She was really good in The Americans. This is my hope for this is who I think should play Wendy. And I think her boyfriend could play Charlie. Matthew Rice. That's her partner. If you're watching Widow Bay on Apple, I think he could play Charlie easily. Oh, you watched and you thought Donna's expressions were confusing. Wonder if they're hoping Donna and Harvey gave up information over the phone. It gave Judy Focus said gave her hope because there's probably an ongoing investigation. That's why the calls cannot be provided. I hope to God. I hope to God. Donna probably thought Wendy could have done better. Hey, do you remember the jail call comment, Donna, where mentioned something about Wendy being the fire starter? I saw that earlier. Thank you. Very nice of you, Judy. Thanks for tuning in and watching us. I've got Patty's channel on my TV and chatting on Joe's channel on my phone. That's awesome. I wanted them at... Let's see. He's been in jail for 4 years and 3 months. Wow. God, time has gone. That is crazy. Thank you. That was nice of you, John. Let's see. You became an orphan at 46. I did. I became an orphan. It is sad. It changes your life. Let's see. Can you imagine being free until you're almost 50 and suddenly... Can you imagine preparing a murder for someone? No. I couldn't last 5 minutes in a cell. Yes, I am not Patty N. Patty N worked with the Adelsons. You're claustrophobic, so you can't break bad. Let's see. They're both hotheads. For pity, you go to social workers. Also, tips on how to mimic empathy. Good point, Gina. You had to Google knock knees. That's adorable. She did. She had knock knees. Watching him eat was so cringe. I had to turn the sound off. I did too. I have that sound. Too long. His parents were old when they died, like really old. His mother, pretty sure. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that they were super old. Let me look. Because I happen to have a Harvey Adelson family tree. So Harvey's. Yeah, his mom was Elizabeth, but they called her Betty. And she died in 06 and 1914 to 06. The dad was 90. He was Aaron Adelson, and he was 05 to 1995. So they were both elderly. So he probably has a ways to go. Bye, Dawn, with an E. Thank you again. She can socially call herself whatever. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Rebecca's the elevator lady. She's the one who heard him say that Rash was going to quit. Who went by Lynn. Yeah, and that's her first name. Here you can do that, but you can't do any I can't do any advertising or any Facebook social media that doesn't include my accurate last name. Does that make sense? So it can't be like Patty Johnson. All right, I can't even be Patty Johnson Wilson and be and reference that I sell real estate. Now, granted, the board isn't going to do anything about it like the first 25 times you do it because it's so loose here, but Isn't she going by Jill Estrada? She's truly trying to confuse people. The person I knew, who I've not heard from, because I mentioned, where I heard her from, told me that she would call by Jillian or Jill. And she had a lock on it. And then she calls herself Wendy Estrada in that photo. So. Have a good night, Judy. Thank you. Don't you think Carrie Russell? I think it's a good option. Bye, Little Miss Red Velvet. Cute. Oh, thank you, Julia. Reese. Matthew Reese. I loved him in The Americans. He was super sexy. Or Charcoal. Elijah Woods could play Charlie, yeah. By the time this is done, they'll need different Wendy's. That's hilarious. Good night. I didn't know. I don't really do a lot of Dubai chocolate. Oh, Harvey's the conduit. If anyone's talking, it's Harvey. It's nice to meet you too, Little Miss Red Velvet. Isn't that illegal? Why don't they? It is very illegal. We don't know why they won't arrest them. How old is Harvey? 82? Let's see. He was born in 44. Ooh, I was right. 82. He just turned 82. Organic does equal calorie free. The prosecution has data about Wendy's locations before, during, and after. Isn't that info considered new or outside of her immunity? Oh, yeah. It's only what I'm told, if Judy's still on here, it's only what she responds to is what she's immune from. She's not immune from the situations. She doesn't have full immunity. She's only immune. That's why Georgia, like I said, was so good about not asking the next question. Oh, you were on OkCupid. Were there any other sites you were on? She says no. She says, we have your whole download of your phone. Georgia moves to the next question. Tossing the cops. That was a big... Ruth Wilson would play Wendy well. I don't know who that is. Hold on. Oh, yeah. She could do it for sure. She was in Luther. She's all those British actresses. This is Ruth Wilson. Yeah, I definitely can see this. She was in Luther. Pretty girl. Yeah. She looks a little older, but now Wendy's, a little rough. So she's definitely a little rough now. Hey, Bethy. So she can have on her license, Adelson. That's right. That was a good point about Harvey now controlling the benefits in the trust. But in Charlie's case, is it worth worrying about? I mean, who's paying the attorneys, cutting the checks? She did say that. She did say that to Chris DeCoste. Yep. She said one day we will change all their names again. And she wasn't kidding. Rashbaum got an in-ground pull out of this. Jill is jacked. Is it? Apparently, to Judy, said it is legal. Is it legal for an attorney to hold their license under one name, present themselves using a non-legal name, including others referring to them as an attorney? I think, and what her defense would be, if I were to offer one, is that she told her, she didn't tell her to write that. So that's not an advertising. I think that's the difference. But the girl wrote, because it was the girl's Instagram. I would correct it. No, my name is. She said that on purpose. You love Matthew and the Americans too. Thank you, Sidebar Snoop. Thank you so much. Harvey seemed pretty strong when he was yelling in court. He did. He seemed like he could get an Uber driver, right? You can see Tara Reid as Wendy. I don't know. She seems, I mean, is she cleaned up? I mean, she's 50. This is Tara Reid. Maybe Wendy now. Bye, Debbie. Enjoy your lawn. I'm going to have to go too. I have to cook. It's almost 6. Glenn Close is Donna. Oh, yeah. That'd be really good. That would be a really good one. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. I learned a lot from you all. You have Sylvester Stallone playing Wendy. Thank you, Cammie. Love my perspective. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. It's not in public records. And in Texas, marriages are public records, so it's not there. Meryl Streep for Wendy. I mean, she's not. I mean, when Meryl Streep's like 80 now, or at least in her mid 70s. Rachel Dratch is a doppelganger for Wendy. Oh my God. Rachel Dratch was on SNL. That's hilarious. Can the actors walk bow-legged? Ruth Wilson may be better, she says. Pretty sad Charlie isn't putting his son first, right? And apparently, according to Professor Joe, Bree is with child. Does anyone know that? Has anyone else seen that? Wendy and Ruth Wilson are the same age. I don't believe Wendy has any clients. Claims to be. Dude, she have Michael Fernandez as a client. Unbelievable. Catholic man he is. After she drank. Yeah, I don't know, Tara. Thank you very much, Tally French. Jennifer Aniston. Come on. Bye, Beach. Misdemeanor. It always feels so warm and conversational, like we're sitting in front of the same fire. Well, thank you. It's too hot here for a fire, but thank you so much. Who would play thick? She is thick. I know. I called to a group of friends. I said something about Wendy being thick. And they were like, that is savage. I was like, she's thick. It is what she is. Thick Donna. If Katie hadn't been arrested, the Adelsons would off her. I think that was very, I don't remember which person told me, but that it was very poignant that Katie refused to go up into the condo. She was afraid to go. Danny DeVito or Charlie. I don't know. I haven't looked her up in a long time. Who would pay his defense if he didn't have his daddy? I just think if you had to get his baby mama to handle whatever money. Let's see. I mean, have they filed anything? What is it called? It's the first DCA appeal. ACES. I always forget. Because there's the search for like bankruptcies. That's under PACES. He hasn't. It was just 7-1 that it was affirmed. There's nothing else. 5-8, that girl, Laurel, she withdrew as counsel. This is the one I'm curious, like, why? Motion to supplement the record because we didn't take oh, that was the other question. I'm gonna have to ask her back on. Was the appellate hearings. I'm gonna have to remind myself of that. The appellate hearings, like why she gets all this extended time. Wendy likes to fundraise. Thanks, Florida Gulf Coast. I do remember. It wasn't obviously the real Meryl Streep. That would be hilarious. She said on the stand when Jill that she was trained to be an attorney, but not really working as an attorney. You heard Rob had security. I thought it was his rabbi. Maybe. I hope he didn't come here alone. That would be even harder. If Katie had said no when Charlie asked her if she knew someone who could hurt someone, she would not be in prison. Fair play. Absolutely true. Donna has not had her appeal. Here it is. It's just a motion to supplement. They keep missing the timelines. Jackie Fulford is her attorney. I thought, let's see, when this started, it was under Josh Zellman. It was under both of them. See it? But now it's just under her. The Lord has not transplanted the record on appeal to this court. Within 20 days from this date, appellate should ensure the transmission. So they missed their timelines. So this person, Dan DeLake, is the one who's been working on it. But they keep missing their timelines. How do you do that? How do you do that as an appellate? How did Jackie Fulford keep her bar license? That's the bigger question. Belated notice of inability. So the transcription wasn't done because it was so voluminous, blah. That's Leon County Clerk. Motion for an extension for the court reporter. Supplemental service. Order discharging the show cause order. Court grants the court reporter's motion, so that extension was provided. Redacted. Why? I just don't understand why she gets 2,300 pages redacted and then not fully redacted and then unredacted. Notice of an agreement of extended, so they gave another 60 days. 60 days here. Notice of appearance. Let me see what this says. Oh, that was the Attorney General. We saw that last week. Order striking stipulation for, so the court says, no, we're not going to give you the extension. Unopposed motion for extension. That's 617. So they're asking for more. So 612, they give a notice of agreed extension of time. And here they say absolutely not. And then here's an unopposed motion. And then they motion it. So we'll see if the court allows it. We don't know. I don't know. But I would like to know why she gets special treatment. That's because the FBI was involved. It's my belief. I saw that Brianna got arrested not too long ago after she got out, was on STS. She said Harvey called her once. She was out. That was dangerous. Brianna said that? Brianna was on STS? Or Dina? Dina, not Brianna. Donna is 76, not 70. Is she that old? Good God. Hold on. Time is just escaping my brain. Oh, yeah, she'll be 76 this year. She was born in 50. I was thinking she was born in 55. I apologize. I wonder why Zellman is still listed. Yeah, but when you read this, hold on. Did you see this, Judy? It's so funny to me. It's not listed here. Law Officer Jackie Fulford, counsel for appellant. 4948 is Jackie Fulford's funeral. Oh, here, shit. I didn't move it over. Sorry. Let me do this again. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. So, right here, Law Office Jackie Fulford, 4948. That's the that's where the funeral home's located. Zellman's not noted there. Let's see. Notice of appearance. Notice of agreed extension. Let's see who's on this one. That is also Lilia Dandelake. It's not. Let's see. I mean, they're just not, he's not getting service. He's not being served at the same time. Supplemental. Now I'm going to scroll all the way down on this one. That's just the clerk of court. Criminal appeals. Here it says Josh Zellman, Jackie Fulford, Lilia, but not anywhere else. I don't know. I don't know how it works. It is an attorney from Jackie's firm. That's this Lilia girl. There is no AC except where the seniors are. So she might be there. Lilia is in her 60s. Lilia. Imagine all Zellman's name is on the main Court of Appeal page, but he's not on anything else. Like right here. But he's not really doing it. I don't know how that works. Are they all working under him? I don't know. He went to Queens College for education, just like Donna, just a decade or more after her. I would have done Pitbull to the back of her head if I knew. Hey, JBZ, how are you? She's only being cooked like beef jerky. Zellman might have filed the notice of appeal and checked out. He got his check. No, not Assemblyman Zellman. Got his check. Donna and her chain gang. Yeah. 76 years old. I don't say. Hold on. How old? Let me ask chat. Who is the oldest inmate in Florida Corrections. Female. I think she's one of the oldest for sure. One of them, the oldest that's been there the longest, moved to South Dakota. The oldest female, and she was married to a dentist and had him killed. If that's not the funniest thing. So this says the oldest female inmate was 80 as of July 2025. Here it compares the oldest male is 87. So she's close. This is it. Elderly offenders. I'm going to have to read this. 2025. Well, isn't this a horrible font? Reception Medical, Zephyr Hills, Lowell, South Florida, Dade. They don't list Homestead. $76 beds, Dade, 701 elderly females. It's a horrible font. I'll have to look at this. Would be interesting if someday released Katie while Donna is still breathing. We know who the youngest is on death row. All right, well, take care, everyone. Patty, can't you look up inmates and see what area she's listed to be in? You mean in the prison? No. No, you can't. Is that what you mean? Hey, Mona, how are you? Can you look up inmates and see what area she's listed to be in? No, you cannot. HIPAA rules. But she's open to visitors, so. Is that what you mean? You two have a good evening. I'm going to go because it's Friday night and see my husband. I thought I did that with Charlie. Charlie, I knew what area he was in because I knew people who worked at the prison. It was different. I don't know anybody who works at Homestead. If anybody knows anyone who, let's see. That's a good point. If there's anyone I can find that works at Homestead. Ooh, look at this. God, every time I think I'm going to go, something good shows up. Okay, so I just put in Homestead Correctional Institute. Hold on 1 second. Better fix my shorts. Homestead Correctional Institute. So I'm going to post something that was given to me by one of the ladies who's incarcerated from inside Homestead. Let me make this bigger. Hold on. Okay. So I'm going to post this from inside. My name is Jackie, and I'm currently writing you from Florida State Prison serving a natural life sentence. I've been thinking about where to begin. The day your family blah was sent. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy. I don't care. I'm sure that at some point you all went to the DOC website. Those of you, let me clarify. For once a week and once monthly, we're issued supplies. For the women, I could say that we are issued once a week. 2 rolls of toilet paper, 1 disposable razor, 1 hotel-size soap, 1 4-ounce bottle of 3-in-1 clear liquid soap. Once a month, the women are issued 2 boxes of tampons. Doubt Donna's getting that. 1 bag of panty liners, or 4 bags of sanitary napkins. Also, 1 month, we're given a toothpaste and a toothbrush. Now, I'd like to elaborate. The 3-in-1 clear soap on the bottle says shower, shampoo, and shave. One question real quick. Do you wash your hair with your shaving cream? Something to think about, because I'm writing this. I decided to use the 3-in-1 on my hair. I have very long hair, so I used the whole bottle. My hair felt like straw, and I could not comb through it. Don't commit murder. You won't have a problem. I had to wash my hair again and use lots of conditioner, which brings the fact that they do not get any help financially from home to get to use conditioner, lotion, baby powder, a comb, or brush. The little bar of soap, I believe, is made with lye and comet. It is gritty and takes any moisture your skin may have had and dries it up. Just telling you the facts. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, Jackie. Don't commit murder. That's all. Seeking a pen pal. Homestead Correctional. Could you imagine if Donna was in that photo right there? That'd be hilarious. Yeah, if anyone knows anybody that works at Homestead, I'm happy to speak with them off the record and keep them quiet. Ashley Benefield is the Lakewood Ranch woman convicted of manslaughter for killing her husband will remain in Homestead while she awaits for her appeal. God, it would be so great to see Donna's little face in one of these photos. Women's Fund of Miami who came to visit Homestead. That's too old. Has Donna got molested? I have absolutely no idea. Can Donna get better items through commissary? Yes. That's why it's so important. So what do you do? Trade a cigarette for toilet paper after you use your 2 rolls? Not enough TP for Tallahassee Lassie. Thank you, Audrey. She did try to get bail for narrow ear canals. That's hilarious. Thank you, Patty. It was very kind of you. Homestead CI. She's going to live to be 95. She could. She is crafty. It doesn't state, it only states that she's at Homestead and she is allowed to have visitors. Thank you, California. Thank you all so much. I am going to go. I don't see anything else. But I want to thank you, Judy, new member, Preacher Man, very kind. Mari, thank you again for the shout out, Sidebar Snoop and AA Legal Focus. And thank you so much, Professor Joe, for being here. And I am to ask you about the appellate system next time, which was really what I wanted to ask you about. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. See you Sunday. Bye-bye.
It's